You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on a Football Friday?
Football Friday.
We don't have many of these left.
No, like today and 2 weeks from today.
Right, that's not many.
No.
So
Very few.
make your plans on Sunday. 3 games left. 2 Football Fridays left.
It's going to be a perfect football day. It's going to be cold. You're not going to want to leave the house.
Of course, cold is relative by Southwest Florida and West Coast of Florida standards.
We're going to set records, I think.
Yeah,
Sunday.
there's a chance.
So, I mean, it's cold.
At least in the 239, yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be cold.
It's going to be at least chilly.
No, it's going to be cold. When the wind chills start with a 2 down here, it's cold. We're not prepared for this. We don't dress for this.
Goodness knows mentally, many of us are not prepared for this. Chiefs, Bengals, Rams, Niners, your conference championship weekend. But let me tell you, Mark, the NFL really trying to challenge the NBA in its coaching carousel, if you know what I mean.
Challenge it, or have they actually passed it?
Yeah, I think they've passed it. I do. Now, I think NBA free agency, it's still, toe-to-toe with NFL free agency in terms of which is better and, more moves in a shorter period of time and all that. But right now, the NFL, once again, it's decided, you know what? We're going to win the whole coaching carousel too.
There's no doubt. We put the poll question up yesterday, and one of the people in our business answered. Former guest of the show, can't now because he's on a rival station. Said, NFL offseason, baby. People think I'm crazy, but NFL free agency draft coverage is every bit as interesting that happens during the regular season of any other sport. Now, you and I don't think that, but there are plenty of people who find that statement to be absolutely true.
Yeah.
That's how popular the league is now.
Right. The old adage, there's 2 seasons. There's football and there's spring football. There are many people now who feel there are 2 seasons. There's the regular season and then there's the off season. And the 2 overlap here in January and early February in the National Football League. There was news yesterday that certainly was not unexpected. I mean, heck, he had said, I'm played my last game for the Steelers, and nobody thought he was going to play a game for anybody else. But Ben Roethlisberger made it official yesterday, which, Mark, does officially end the 2004 quarterback class. Eli, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, drafted in that order, retired in that order. Do you think all 3 will be Hall of Famers?
No.
I don't either.
I don't think Phillip Rivers gets in.
I don't either. There have been 11 quarterbacks that have won 2 or more Super Bowls. 8 are in. Plunkett and Eli are not. Eli's not yet eligible. And obviously now the clock starts on Ben. Ben's obviously going to the Hall of Fame.
Correct.
Greater quarterback in Steelers history. Bradshaw or Roethlisberger?
Bradshaw.
Are we sure about that?
Yes. Don't play numbers with me in receiving yards. Different game, different era.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. But I do think it's a legitimate question, though. I do. Because more was on Ben's shoulders during his era than was on Terry's shoulders in his. Obviously, Terry's got the championships, but more was asked of Ben throughout his 18 years than was asked of Bradshaw throughout his 14.
But on the other side of it, of Ben's 2 Super Bowls, one really isn't. I mean, one, he was just a part of the team.
Right. In fact, he did all he could to help him lose.
We can't sit there and say that Ben's this icon that has to challenge Terry Bradshaw for the best quarterback in Steelers history because he has 2 Super Bowl rings and he threw for all these yards. Well, then let's analyze one of the Super Bowls.
Yeah, but he also took them to, Bradshaw took the Steelers to 4. Ben took them to 3. All right. And he was very instrumental in 2 of the 3. Terry was not instrumental in 2 of the 4. By the last 2, he was. They had to open it up more offensively. They drafted Swan and Stallworth. That really helped.
It does. And when you have a Swan and a Stallworth.
Right. We could all use a Swan and a Stallworth.
It's kind of like having a Ham and a Lambert. These
Right.
things seem to help a little bit.
Especially when you can get the Swan and a Stallworth in the same draft. It's kind of like the Niners when they drafted 3/4 of a secondary in the same draft. Wow. This is a really good day or 2. Right. So, but put it this way, Bradshaw was the gold standard of quarterbacks until Montana. Then Montana, because of championships anyway, he wasn't considered the greatest quarterback ever, but with 4 Super Bowl titles, I think the fact that it could be brought up and not be laughed out of the room. I think it's a very legitimate conversation. I do think Terry would have thrived in this day and age.
Well, that's the other part of this is that we also have to say, okay, Ben could have won 4 with Terry's teams. There's no doubt, but Terry would have been great in this game.
Oh, yeah.
He could sling it.
Yes. And he was athletic, so he could have done things with his legs and they would have worked that into the equation. Also, Terry was phenomenal at the line of scrimmage.
We called all his own plays.
Right.
He was the offensive coordinator.
And so with nowadays, with all the mismatches and what have you, Bradshaw would have systematically picked people apart, giving off the impression that he's a dumb, good old boy.
Right.
Right. With the gap teeth and all that, the accent. Yeah. But there are some who think Roethlisberger's just clearly the better quarterback.
And maybe by pure physical skills and the fact that, what was Ben? 6'5"?
I don't know, 7'4".
Right.
Huge.
He's a mammoth of a
yes.
man.
Yes.
And I'm one of these people that don't enjoy these conversations because I don't think it's ever apples and apples. It's fodder because it's impossible there's no wrong answer. If you want to say that it's Ben, great. I can't tell you you're wrong.
Yeah. I don't think I am, but I do think it's an interesting discussion if you can have it in which they are separated by a generation. And that's the other thing. Bradshaw last played in 83 and Roethlisberger comes along in 04. And it's not like the Steelers were terrible in between because they weren't, but they were managing to win games and be competitive. And they went through Mark Malone and Bubby Brister and Neil O'Donnell and Cordell Stewart and Tommy Maddox. They didn't have a franchise guy. During that 20 years, was Neil O'Donnell their best quarterback?
Probably. When you went through that list, Malone or O'Donnell, and I'd give O'Donnell the edge.
He's the only one that took him to a Super Bowl during that time. But so they went 20 years and then they're like, hey, do you think we can get ourselves and of course the irony that, there was Cleveland drafting 9th and there was Ben Roethlisberger, a kid from Findlay, Ohio. And obviously they passed and we all know what took place over the next 18 years. I think Roethlisberger lost to him 4 times. 4. I think, in 18 years. So, but just, when it's official, he released a nice, classy little video and all that. 5th all-time in yards, 8th all-time in touchdowns. But then again, when you're playing in this era and you play for 18 years.
And no one's accusing him of compiling.
No,
because he played up until really the last 2 years at a pretty damn high level.
Yes. Yeah. Took him a little while to get started. First 2 years, he was kind of with training wheels. Last 2 years, he was bumbling, stumbling, as Chris Berman might say.
Well,
But that middle 14 there.
If he was in training wheels the first 2 years, he was on one of those big tricycles the last 2 years, David, to complete your analogy, okay?
Well played, Mark. Well played. But Ben Roethlisberger calling it a career, and now the 2004 class. By the way, you think Eli gets in?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I always thought he was going to get in. 2 Super Bowls.
Very good last name.
Doesn't hurt.
Played in New York.
Doesn't hurt. I also think this Manning cast doesn't hurt. Whenever somebody ventures into the media, it very rarely hurts their candidacy. In fact, you could argue Kurt Schilling might be the only Hall of Famer when he retired that somehow, some way got into broadcasting and has hurt their stock.
100%.
In
Could not
all
agree with
sports.
that statement more.
In all sports.
I'm trying to quickly think of other players who have
basketball,
put their foot in their
hockey.
mouth that quickly.
Yeah, I mean,
And not even his foot in his mouth. He believes what he believes. He's convicted to his cause. It's just cost him the Hall of Fame.
for now.
Until the
Hopefully later
today's
this year.
game committee
Right.
sits down and puts him in.
And I think they're going to do it right away.
I don't think they do it with Bonds and Clemens. I do think they do it with Schilling.
Do you think they ever do it with Bonds and
Yes.
Clemens? Yeah, I do as well.
It'll take a little bit.
I do as well. And I've said it many times, if I was Rob Manfred, I would step in and I would change the rule about the permanently ineligible, because it not only would allow one of those committees to ponder the case of Pete Rose, it would also allow them to ponder the case of Shoeless Joe Jackson.
And I don't think they'd ponder that case very long. I really don't.
No.
I think Shoeless Joe would go in a nanosecond if they lifted that ban.
Right. I think Pete would be a hearty debate.
Pete will not go in while he is still walking.
Yeah, no question about it.
They're not going to allow him in while he's alive. It's not going to happen.
Well, and at this point, they'd have to change the rule because he's on the permanently ineligible
But even if it was
list.
changed tomorrow. He's been such a thorn in the side of baseball that I don't think they would allow him to speak in front of Cooperstown while I just don't think it would happen.
I know.
Because there's a lot of politics and animosity towards him.
Yeah.
By the hall, too. I mean, remember, he goes and sets up there and does his autograph sessions and does, he's been in the face of the hall for a generation. So I think while the writers would never allow it.
God forbid.
Right.
All-time hit.
I think the committee would allow it, but I don't think the hall would necessarily want it while Pete's still living.
14 minutes after the hour. We have a terrific show lined up for you today. We'll head to Jacksonville next hour because amazingly, they haven't hired a coach yet. And they know who they want to hire. And he wants the job. Haven't been able to make a deal. We'll head to Cincinnati. The Bengals are in the AFC Championship game for the first time in a very long time. We'll head to Kansas City because they're in the AFC Championship game for the first time in a year. And we'll also
the fifth time in 5.
and we'll get an update about the Niners, who are trying to be a wild card team going to the Super Bowl. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for being with us on a Football Friday.
Football Friday.
Here on the Florida Sports Network. We've hit the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, still has huge cash prizes up for grabs.
This week, new customers can get on the game and play free for millions with their first deposit. There are only a few weeks of football left, so draft your squad now.
Playing daily fantasy football simple. Just pick your lineup of NFL stars, staying under the salary cap, and score enough points to bring home cash.
And with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes, you'll feel the action of the divisional round like never before.
DraftKings, safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want.
Download the DraftKings app now and use the promo code M&M to play free for millions. That's right. Enter promo code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. Get in the action for the divisional round only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. My daughter doesn't go to bed tonight. I mean, my daughter's, I was talking to a couple of parents. I'm like, my daughter would be asleep. If it wasn't for this practice, I go, she's done at 8. I go, she's in bed. They're like, wow, we start late now. I go, we get up pretty early around our house. I go, so she goes down early. Had to laugh. My neighbor's on the team. I'd never met my neighbors. Probably could do this out here. Literally met, I mean, the lady I've said hello to enough that I saw her and I recognized her. I'm like, hey. And she's like, you look familiar. I go, I'm your neighbor. She goes, okay, that's right. You know, but she didn't know. I'm
your neighbor.
I live 5 doors down from her. I don't know her name. She didn't know my name until yesterday.
Right. I'm your neighbor. Well, hello, neighbor.
And then the husband comes over and introduced himself. And he's like, because he saw me talking to the wife, and I think he was just, being the friendly parent. And she's like, they live down the road from us. Oh, because I was busting his balls yesterday or last week. He took his garage and made it into like a man cave. He works from home now. He's turned his garage into his office. I'm like, nice man cave. And he goes, man, he's talking to me. I was so happy. He goes, everybody's walking by just staring at me. He goes, you're the first guy that said anything in a week. Were they laying 3.5?
Mm-hmm. Hits a free throw. They're up 11 with 3 minutes to go. They're up 6 with 30 seconds to go. And they miss free throw after free throw after free throw after free throw. They missed 5 out of 6 free throws in the final 48 seconds.
You didn't work, did you?
Nope. But up 3 late, they get a stop. One of the few stops they got in the final 3 minutes. Grabbed a rebound, fouled. Guy hits the second free throw to ice it and cover.
Ooh. Did he lose to Stanford already this year?
Yeah, they got swept.
That's what I thought.
Stanford. And they were up 6 at the half. Yeah, Junior's not going to see the light of day for a long time. And he shouldn't.
One minute.
We'll get there in an hour, Adam. We will get there in an hour.
30 seconds.
Well, I'll tell you, Trent Baalke's a cat. He's got a lot of lives. Top of the morning, everybody. Hope you had a good week.
10 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you, Miller and Moulton. Right here on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. The starting five in about 15 or so minutes. Ryan Green begins our guest list a little over an hour from now, live from Jacksonville. You excited about the game Sunday, or after the epic divisional round, does this almost seem like a letdown?
Yes. Can I answer yes to both? If you know what I mean, it's like.
All right, so you're excited.
I'm excited, but how is it not going to be a letdown from last weekend?
I have no idea. I guess it's possible Burrow and Mahomes could just pick up where last weekend left off at 3:00 and just throw it all over the lot. I do think the game should be a staggering contrast.
Totally.
A flag football game could very well break out at Arrowhead, and then a total slobber knocker could break out at SoFi.
It's very possible. David, you have some explaining to do.
What?
No, you do. Andy's daughters make a great point in our chat room. Andy watching via YouTube.
Hi, Andy.
Says, my girls keep saying that Miller needs to be on the left and David needs to be on the right, or that you need to change sides. And we used to have me on the left when you watch this show on Twitch, because it's Miller and Moulton.
Right.
So we wanted to keep it that way. But we switched.
Yes.
And there's a reason behind it.
Right. It's very simply because of where we're positioned in the studio, and we are not changing seats because we are sitting where we sat when we did the show in this studio for 10 years. And
we wouldn't be comfortable switching seats.
No, that's number one. Number two, Mark's computer is the text line and other things, and Mark's in control of that. So Mark needs to sit where he's sitting. I need to sit where I'm sitting. But when we turn and face one another, if we were Miller and Moulton on the Twitch screen, we would be looking in opposite directions at one another. It would look very weird. So for television purposes, yes, it is Moulton and Miller on the screen, but we are looking at one another when we're talking to one another. So it's one or the other. We could flip us on the screen and then literally look as if we are talking into two walls.
Or it appears like we are talking to one another.
So there you
I
have
like
it.
Paul. Paul brings up, he says, like switching sides of the bed. Exactly, Paul. Even though we had a divorce from this studio for well over 4 years, we came back into it and sat right down as if we had never left.
Right. Still at the
In
same
fact, we've
lumps.
kind of taken over the room.
Yeah, we still have the same lumps. It's like, oh, wow, still the same mattress. Huh, how about that? It's a good point.
He did steal my pillow. But other than that, we seem to be fine.
It's cool. All right. Thank you, Stuart Scott.
Our poll question yesterday, David, was what you are going to be watching now that the NFL season and football season is nearing the end.
Right. One of two poll questions, but
NBA, NHL, NCAA hoop, or Netflix.
right.
Netflix won.
Well, we thought Netflix would. We were just hoping it didn't get a majority.
And it did not even come close to getting a majority.
Good.
35% of the vote. The NHL and NCAA hoop actually tied.
How about that? Hockey made a solid push all day.
At a little less than 27%, and the NBA came in dead last. That 1 in 9 say that their choice to watch,
Their number one choice.
their number one choice to watch, what we be watching the most of,
right. So
was the NBA.
Felipe and his friends, all right, were 11% of the vote. By the way, Felipe, in his Marlins garb, his green Marlins jersey with dark lettering.
Teal.
That is true. It is teal as opposed to green, although teal is a shade of green. But
Is it a shade of green or blue?
see, to me, it's green.
I think it's more blue, though.
And to others, once
I'm
again,
on your side here, David. Normally, I would just pick on you and pick Felipe's side, and I'm not picking on either. I consider teal to be a green.
a green. Okay.
But, aqua's a blue. That's all.
Isn't teal kind of like when you look into certain people's eyes and someday their eyes look more blue and other days their eyes look more green?
Never had that problem. Mine have just looked green. I've never had teal eyes. I'd love some teal eyes. Maybe I'll get some contacts later today. By the way, David, 38% of us said that you cannot have, 38% of you said you could not have a bad hot dog.
It's impossible to have a bad hot dog because even if you hate the bun, you can just throw the bun out and you know what it remains? It remains a hot dog.
Which can still be bad.
No.
We will have a poll question later today. It will probably involve football games. It won't be nearly as fun.
No.
Probably who's playing in the Super Bowl. We'll have the 4 combinations.
Yes, and we'll give you about 48 hours to vote.
Oh, boy. That's exciting.
You can come up with an exciting poll question if you'd like. I came up with the hot dog one yesterday.
You did.
So, if you want to throw one out there for the weekend, knock yourself out. Nothing wrong with that. How many people watched soccer last night?
I did.
For how long?
Turned it on late.
Okay.
Late second half. I had softball last night.
Right.
The daughter had softball.
Right.
So I didn't get back until about 8:30. So I turned it on then. I will say at softball last night, I had something interesting happen. I met one of my neighbors.
Well, so you didn't meet him.
They live 5 doors down from me, and I met them both last night at softball practice.
Well, first off, hold on a second. Time out. I think we have to have a powwow. If they're 5 doors down, are they neighbors?
Yes.
I don't know. That's pretty far down.
Are you out of your mind?
No.
They're in the neighborhood. Yes, they're neighbors.
Boy.
5 doors?
5 doors.
Yes.
5
Really?
doors down, you invite for drinks.
Of course.
What? Are you serious?
Yes.
I am the 5th house on the side of our road, which means 5 doors down would literally be like another street in my neighborhood. So I'm guessing yours is much more.
It's the other side of the
Much
street.
tighter.
I mean, I have to go through a stop sign, but it's 4 doors, stop sign, their house.
Oh, for goodness sakes. That might as well be in another town for me.
And I had said hi to the mom several times, and I had met the mom and daughter, but I had forgotten her name long ago, and she had no clue what mine was.
I mean, think about what you just said. You have to go to the stop sign, stop, then walk across a 4-way intersection.
David, I walk past their house at least once a day, every day of my life.
And every single time do you go, hi?
If I see them outside, I say hello every single time. Yes.
And
In fact, everybody that I see when I walk around my neighborhood, I say hello to.
do you know their name?
I do now.
I'm just going to say you didn't until last night.
Nope, I didn't. And I said hi to her, and she looked at me and she goes, "You look familiar." I said, "I'm your neighbor." That's right. You are.
Well, kind of. I'm 5 doors down. No?
5 doors down.
Yes, I think.
David,
Listen,
it's not even a full sand wedge to their house.
I'll nominate that. If you're 5 doors down, do you consider that person a neighbor?
Unbelievable.
I don't. No way. To me, a neighbor.
You are part of the problem, not part of the solution, Moulton.
Listen, I'm not denying that. I am not denying that I've got neighborly issues. I'm not denying that at all. You would think growing up in nothing but apartments that I would attach myself to anyone who is remotely close to us because I was constantly surrounded by people and was very comfortable with it. And instead, it is exactly the opposite. I mean, we've got a house on either side of us.
And a house across the street.
And Doug across the street. Doug. Yeah. Took me a while, but I remember.
Okay,
it's
what
Doug.
about, do you know the names on right and left?
No, absolutely not. No, on both sides, actually. No. And they've both been there for years. No, I have no idea. No, they got kids.
Yeah, I have some
Right.
new neighbors, and I don't know their name.
No.
I know next door. I know 3 doors down. I know next door on the other side, next to them. Sam and Sandy are next to them.
Wow. You know multiple neighbors' names? That's unbelievable.
Several, yes. No, even more of their animals' names.
Well, that I could understand, to be honest.
I mean, there's Tank. There's Frank. I don't care what your name is. What's your dog's name?
But so I consider that I've got 3 neighbors.
Across the street, next on
Across
either
the
side.
street on either side. Right. And I know 1 out of the 3.
I live in a neighborhood. My neighbors are everywhere.
Yeah, I just.
Oh, you live on that street over there? Oh, you're my neighbor. Yes.
I mean, I know that certain people are like 3 doors down and across the street. I don't consider them a neighbor. They live in the neighborhood, but they're not my neighbor. They're not close enough. They're not close enough.
5 doors down is not a neighbor.
Here's another one. All right. If they're driving down the street, do they honk? Do you wave?
I waved to everybody.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know.
It's a requirement in our neighborhood.
Just unbelievable. But I do know that. I know you're a waver. Oh yeah. You're so much older than you really are when it concerns that. Right. All different ways. You're like a golfer walking down the fairway in contention all weekend long in a major. You've got 18 different ways you can acknowledge the crowd.
I went to the visor just to tip it.
You would be great in contention one time. Man, the galleries would eat you. Look at him, okay, mingling with the galleries because, you'd be like Phil. Phil's just constantly acknowledging the galleries all the time.
Somewhere between Phil and Lee.
Yeah.
Because I'd be Trevino. I might bum a smoke off of one of them, too.
Well, that'd be Arnie. Miller and Moulton. Feel free to let us know what you consider.
Yeah, text the show. There's a bunch of different ways to take in Miller and Moulton. Go to millerandmoulton.com where you can, catch any old shows that you missed. You can go to the Twitch page, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, where we encourage you to follow and subscribe.
I mean, this guy says if you can walk there in less than 5 minutes, you're neighbors.
Yeah.
No. Thank you. Okay. Now, Art says neighborhood equals neighbor. Next door is next door.
Thank you.
I think it depends on your level of antisocial.
Are you saying you're antisocial?
Yes. Outside of the area code that I live in, I'm amazing. Life of the party. Inside the area code that I live in, leave me alone. Can't be bothered.
Won't you be David's neighbor?
Miller and Moulton, the starting 5 is next. Thanks for waking up with us here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
That's funny.
Hey, super random question, but are there any like batting cages around here with public pitching machines?
There are quite a few, actually. Now, I don't know about public pitching machines, but there are quite a few businesses that have batting cages, and they usually, people pay for time, lessons with kids, that sort of deal.
Right.
I mean, Greenwell's in North Fort
Greenwell's in
Myers.
Cape Coral, North Fort Myers would be the one place I would think of.
You know, that's totally open to the public.
I need to hit a baseball. I haven't done that in so long.
Why aren't you playing co-ed softball?
I should. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that'd be so much fun.
Especially since you
Since,
only
you know,
have
you're
a
in
few months
college,
left to do
yes.
it.
And the co-eds at FGCU are kind of cute.
They are cute. I mean, I've never done a co-ed. I've done intramural basketball.
Right.
and
I know. I'm
football.
trying to get you something where you'd actually have fun.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It is.
What?
Ay.
I had a pick 6 one time though in intramural football. That was fun.
Yeah. Put that on your resume.
I went in the end zone and I did the.
I'll bet you did. I'll bet you did in intramurals.
Yep.
Let me tell you,
Philly,
if you
stop.
did that in our intramurals, you wouldn't physically
I'd
be
get
able to
rocked.
leave the event. Honestly,
No, that'd have been really easy. Just whoever he's guarding, run across the middle, and someone else going to take your head off.
Would have killed you. We would have spent the rest of the day making sure that you couldn't physically walk.
I will say though, at one point in that game, we were playing like a zone. We got mixed up, and I just got
A
burned.
zone in intramurals.
Yep.
What the hell? What the hell?
We were playing against kids with freaking pure athletes.
I'm done listening to him.
It's intramurals.
He acts like intramurals are sports.
A zone in intramurals. I literally would stop. I would stop the game and I would go, "What the hell is going on?
Exactly.
It's intramurals. Everybody pick a man. We're gonna play. Come on, a zone." I'd leave. I would. I'd be like, "Oh, please, you guys, this is ridiculous. You're actually treating this like it's a game. Come on."
You just take him out in a hurry. Nadal.
4.
4.
Is that what it's known as, Johnny?
My abuela loves Nadal. Ay, Rafa is so handsome.
Not a Nadal guy.
I'm a Federer guy. I love Federer.
Well, first off, because I think Nadal cheated.
What?
No doubt in my mind that Nadal was on steroids during the prime of his career, because every major Spanish athlete, I mean, they had a doping thing that was every bit as good as the Russians. Okay. And they destroyed all the evidence when they got caught to protect the names.
Are there any like famous
Just more.
futbolistas, like soccer players, that were famous?
They were all in it. They were all in it. And the Spanish authorities made sure they destroyed all the evidence.
Wow.
Basically, it was like an insurance fire happened.
I didn't know that.
Saints are interviewing Flores.
1 minute. Look, man, steroids or not, he's the king of the clay.
Oh, no question.
Like,
No question.
you want to talk about dominating in a certain aspect of sports? Off on clay. If you don't know, now you know.
They'll never go to Australia again. If you're ESPN, if you could get away with televising this and not send anybody, why would you ever send somebody again?
Only if Fowler just bags and bags and bags and bags because he wants a 2-week vacation.
And he will. And they may still go, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, Chris.
10 seconds.
5-star hotel in Manhattan.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"20 minutes before the hour of 7. here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Ryan Green to join us in a little less than an hour from Jacksonville. Nothing is going on there, and a lot is going on there all at the same time. Have Ryan Green sorted out for us. But first, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Hey, Mark, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to start with football.
Smart move.
Ben Roethlisberger retired, 5th in yards, 8th in touchdowns. Took the Steelers to 3 Super Bowls, won 2 of them. Remember, never a losing season with Ben Roethlisberger at quarterback because Tomlin hasn't had one. And Ben was the final 3 years of Cowher's career, and he didn't have a losing season during those 3 years. A remarkable career, the last of the legendary 2004 quarterback class. He was the last one taken of the 3 between Eli, Phillip Rivers, and Big Ben, and he was the last one to retire. Ben Roethlisberger at age 39, 18 years with the Steelers. It happened during our show yesterday. Nathaniel Hackett is the new head coach of the Denver Broncos. He was formerly the offensive coordinator in Green Bay. Right after our show ended yesterday, Mark, Matt Eberflus, the former Colts defensive coordinator, was named head coach of the Bears. Not a surprise to those closely following it, but if you were to take a step back and look at it, you're like, did they really go from Matt Nagy to Matt Eberflus? Also, his expertise is defense. Everybody in Chicago wants to know who his offensive coordinator is going to be. You know, they got this young quarterback named Justin Fields.
Right.
Jacksonville for 2 days has reportedly been hiring Byron Leftwich. Mark, I have a question. Have they hired Leftwich?
No, as a matter of fact, I believe the Saints are now interviewing Leftwich.
Apparently, the snag is GM Trent Baalke. Leftwich wants to light him on fire and leave him by the side of the road, and Khan apparently is attached to him. So, goodness knows who's going to be the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ryan Green in 50 minutes. He can let us know who. Dan Quinn either A, didn't like any of the jobs left that he was a finalist for, or B, called around and realized he wasn't going to get any of the jobs that he was a finalist for. And he announced shortly after our show ended yesterday that he was staying in Dallas to be defensive coordinator. I have to admit, it's not the dumbest move. First off, he's being very well compensated. Secondly, he said, I loved being here. He said it while he was the defense coordinator. He goes, man, this has worked out great. Family loves it here, the whole deal. This is awesome. They figure to be the clear favorites to win that division next year again. And he'll be on the short list probably next year for whatever handful of jobs open up. But if we were betting 3 weeks ago when this whole carousel started that Dan Quinn would not get a job,
We would have lost a lot of money, David. I mean, a lot of money. Are we going to hire a head coach anywhere with head coaching experience?
Maybe Jacksonville. Maybe. But I don't think anywhere else. One of those with coaching experience is Brian Flores. He interviewed with the Giants yesterday. He's interviewing with the Saints today. Flores considered to be in second place on the Giants list. But then again, Nathaniel Hackett was never the gold medal winner in Denver until he was the gold medal winner in Denver. Mark, at risk of being pummeled about the head and chest by you, remember I did say number 1 was football. The USFL announced their final 2 coaching hires yesterday.
Oh, no, please.
Your beloved Michigan Panthers from back in the day have hired Jeff Fisher to be their coach.
How many games are they going to play in the USFL for the regular season?
10.
5-5.
Well, I thought there was a really funny tweet yesterday when that announcement was made, and somebody said, I know they're only playing 10 games, but somehow the Panthers are going to go 7-9. It's a really good line.
It is.
The New Orleans Breakers are one of the 8 franchises, and they hired former North Carolina head coach Larry Fedora. Mark, for the record, Philly Bart Andrews, Tampa Bay Todd Haley, Birmingham Skip Holtz, the New Jersey Generals Mike Riley, the Houston Gamblers Kevin Sumlin, and the Pittsburgh Maulers.
Love that name. Love that name. That fits that city perfectly.
Hired Kirby Wilson. 8 teams, 10 games, every game played in Birmingham. It's a new concept. Cut down on costs, etc.
Why do they have city names attached to them then?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't they just be the Maulers and the Panthers?
I don't know if the hope is in 2023 to then play home games like they're throwing this together quickly.
I actually think this has a better shot than I did before now. Because Birmingham will go watch it.
And I think they're playing at both Legion Field and the new UAB Stadium.
Don't care. They better have double headers.
Okay. So Fox owns the league, for the record. The games will be on Fox and NBC. But Fox literally owns the league.
How long? It's just a matter of how long do they want to lose money before they shut it down?
Well, they've put aside $150 million for 3 years. And as we've seen with many startups, let's see how fast they go through the $150.
Well, keep hiring the Jeff Fishers of the world and overpay guys to coach in a minor league.
Hey, listen,
they don't work cheap, David. Those guys don't sacrifice salary to go work in these leagues.
Well, but you and I would both look at these type of guys and say, yeah, the job pays $200,000. I know you haven't worked for that in a really long time. I don't know what to tell you. I'll go find somebody look just like you.
Exactly. And you're $100,000 more than I'd be paid. And I'm not messing around here. They waste an unbelievable. You know how many people would kill to coach in that league?
Yes.
And could do a really good job.
We agree. We go from football to football. Number 2, the U.S. men's national team in a World Cup qualifier kind of sleptwalked through the first half, played much better in the second half. Anthony Robinson with a goal in the 52nd minute. U.S. gets a valuable 3 points against El Salvador, 1-0. All right. I do have one issue, though. They do know what time of the year it is, right?
Right.
All right. They played in Columbus, Ohio last night.
Right.
Okay. Now that is risky. We're in Ohio in late January.
Right.
Okay.
Playing El Salvador. Clear advantage, U.S.
True. No doubt about it.
Where's our next game?
Well, we're playing Canada on the road.
Yeah. It's a roadie. It's a biggie.
It is.
Because if U.S. can get wins, and they've had 4 games in this qualifier, these next 3 are all winnable games. The thought is if they can get 3 points in each of these games, when they play Costa Rica, it won't even matter.
Well, they have 5 matches left now. They have 2 in the next week. Sunday in Canada, and Canada's actually leading the group, I think by a point over the U.S. But Mark, Wednesday, they're scheduled to play Honduras in St. Paul.
Yeah.
Wow.
Trying to freeze them out, David.
Literally. And then they're going to take a month off and play the final 3 qualifiers in the month of March. Number 3, basketball. The starters for the NBA All-Star Game were announced yesterday. In the West, LeBron is captain. He's joined in the starting lineup by Steph, Ja Morant, Nikola Jokic, and Andrew Wiggins edged out Draymond Green. Interesting. East, Kevin Durant's captain, DeMar DeRozan, Trae Young, Joel Embiid, and Giannis join him in the starting lineup. It'll be interesting to see if KD plays. He's currently out injured. The rest of the reserves will be announced next Thursday. 2 games last night. No LeBron in Philly. Sixers beat the Lakers by 18. Good one out west. The Warriors got by Minnesota 124-115. College hoops, only one upset. 15th ranked USC lost to Stanford again, this time at home. by 3. Otherwise, Gonzaga, Purdue, UCLA, Wisconsin, and Ohio State were all victorious. In the state of Florida, Mark, FAU lost, FIU lost, Stetson lost, FGCU, Jacksonville, and North Florida, all winners. On the women's side, FGCU, JU, Stetson, FAU, FIU, Miami all won. Florida State and North Florida lost. Hockey. Lightning got a goal with a little over 8 minutes left by Anthony Sorelli to edge the Devils 3-2. They remain 2 points behind the Florida Panthers for best record in the division. The Panthers got 2 goals from Sam Bennett. Good performance in the nets by Mr. Knight. 4-1 winners over the Golden Knights. A surprise in Pittsburgh, the Kraken a winner in overtime over the Penguins 2-1. And a surprise in Columbus, Blue Jackets rallied from 2-0 deficit to beat the Rangers 5-3. And a really big surprise in Edmonton, the NHL is allowing Evander Kane to play. And Edmonton actually wants him.
The whole thing about this is crazy.
Evander Kane might be the most disliked guy in the league. And basically the San Jose Sharks just kicked him off the team. Said, you're such a jerk. We can't have you around anymore, even if it's going to cost us about $7 million a year for 5 years on the cap. He's the one who has the soon-to-be ex-wife who's accusing him of gambling on hockey games. He's been cleared of that. She threw other charges his way. He's been cleared of those. The thought was nobody would want him. Apparently Edmonton does. Australian Open, it'll be Nadal against Medvedev. In the men's final, Nadal and Medvedev, both winners in 4 sets in the semis. And where there's tennis, there is usually golf. A 3-way tie halfway through the event at Torrey Pines. John Rahm, Justin Thomas, and Adam Schenk, all 13 under.
It's a tough name for a golfer.
Schenk, yeah. Mm-hmm. How's it going, Schenk?
You wouldn't even say his name. Adam.
Cameron Tringali is 1 shot back. Mark, you mentioned that there's an easy course and a hard course. You know, Torrey North and Torrey South?
Yes.
Right. And that Billy Horschel was your first round leader, shooting a 9 under 63 on the easy course. Yeah, 1 over 73 on the hard course yesterday.
That's what happens.
So, and I probably missed something, but that's all I got.
That was the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Miller and Moulton, I do like the comment from Paul in our Twitch chat room. Hey, at least the USFL is hiring head coaches with experience.
That's true. No doubt there.
There's also some of these general managers that I'm surprised. Like, you know, John Dorsey put together a pretty good lineup in Cleveland. And he's not even being seriously considered for any of these GM jobs. Isn't that amazing? I really do. You mean to tell me we're going to have Dan Quinn, Jim Caldwell, Doug Peterson? None of these guys are going to get gigs?
Maybe they don't live close enough to the guys that are hiring them. They don't feel very neighborly about them, David.
Well, listen, anything more than about 2 houses in either direction.
So 3 doors down to you is just a band. It's not a neighbor.
Correct. 3 doors down from me is in another area code. Miller and Moulton. Ryan Green from Jacksonville will join us next hour here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
We've hit the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, still has huge cash prizes up for grabs.
This week, new customers can get on the game and play free for millions with their first deposit. There are only a few weeks of football left, so draft your squad now.
Playing daily fantasy football is simple. Just pick your lineup of NFL stars, staying under the salary cap, and score enough points to bring home cash.
And with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes, you'll feel the action of the divisional round like never before.
DraftKings, safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want.
Download the DraftKings app now and use the promo code M&M to play free for millions. That's right. Enter promo code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. Get in the action for the divisional round only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Already got another follower of this show. That's what I'm talking about. 691. We really, God dang. I could use one good day to get like 8. It would make me feel so good. By the way, if it was the 49ers and Bengals again, that would be not worth watching to me.
I don't think it's going to be good either way.
I think Rams Chiefs is the best thing we could get.
I agree with that.
Supposed to get 2 feet of snow in New England this weekend.
Oof.
Ben Volen was just saying, imagine the Patriots hosting an AFC championship game this weekend on 2 feet of snow. You'll have to imagine that.
The famous Adam Vinatieri game,
Right?
was that in New England?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the Tuck game.
The Tuck, yeah, the Tuck rule, yeah. Oh, I just remembered, David. So I was on Instagram yesterday, and the NFL posted a video about like Cooper Kupp's rookie year that he mentioned the fact that Cooper Kupp's dad was his backup, and I was like, I wonder if Troy Aikman thought of that or David thought of that and told Troy Aikman.
No, that came from Troy. Troy spent time embedded with the Rams a few years ago for like 3 weeks to a month during the off season, like OTAs and all that. And so he knows a lot about the Rams.
Does he live in LA?
Well, he's got a place out there.
Okay.
But no, his primary residence is Dallas.
Where's he from?
SoCal. Grew up there, moved to Oklahoma for high school. Did high school in Oklahoma. Then did a year at Oklahoma and the rest of his career at UCLA.
Still no fans at NHL games in Canada, huh?
Nope.
It's unreal. It is absolutely unreal.
Yeah, it's insane.
I don't know financially how those franchises are going to
stay afloat. See, that's what I originally thought the NBA would look like on March 11th, 2020. And then the bubble happened. Well, then the season got suspended. Then the bubble happened. Come back.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Minute and a half past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Coming up, bottom of the hour, Ryan Green, 1010XL in Jacksonville. What in the wide world of sports is going on there? How come Byron Leftwich is not their head coach? And is he going to be? We'll talk to Ryan about it in 30 minutes' time. Mark, you said it off the top of the show that you're not feeling it. I mean, obviously, you're a fan. You're going to watch. You're going to be somewhat excited when you do watch, but the divisional round was just so compelling that this almost feels a little bit like a letdown.
A little bit. I mean, it's hard to get all jazzed up thinking you're going to get two great games when we experienced a weekend with four of the best games that we've had back to back to back to back ever. And yeah, I'm going to watch. I'm fired up to watch. And the games could be really compelling. It's just tough after that weekend to get all in right now. So I'm looking, I guess I need help.
Okay. Well, here, I'll try. I mean, my stuff's got stuff. So I'm going to banty all over the place here. First off, do you know the Bengals are one of two franchises to have never lost a conference championship game if you have played in two or more?
They are 2-0.
Right.
The Giants are 5-0.
Right. There you go. Okay.
Woo!
So
all right.
Let's go, baby. Running. The Chiefs are trying to advance to their third straight Super Bowl. Do you know how many franchises have played in 3 straight Super Bowls? 3. Bills, obviously, have played in 4 in a row. More recently, the Patriots played in 3 in a row, 2016, 17, and 18 seasons. They went 2-1, losing to the Eagles. And the Dolphins, Super Bowl 6, 7, and 8. They lost the first one to the Cowboys, and then they went back-to-back in 7 and 8. So
remember that, Dolphin?
So the Chiefs are trying to become just the 4th team to advance to 3 consecutive Super Bowls. It is remarkable about Andy Reid. Andy Reid took the Eagles and now the Chiefs both to 4 consecutive conference championship games. Did it 0-1 through 0-4 with Philly, and now has done it each of the last 4 years in Kansas City. I mean, you know, Andy Reid is the Phil Mickelson of his coaching era because Belichick's always going to be Tiger. But Andy's resume is starting to get damn ridiculous on its own, too.
It is. It is.
So there you go. The Chiefs also first team to host 4 consecutive conference championship games. The Patriots played in 8 in a row last decade, but they never hosted 4 in a row. By the way, if you count playoffs, which the NFL does, for like total wins, like Don Shula's win total includes playoffs. Belichick is 26 behind Shula. Andy Reid, meanwhile, is 18 behind Landry. It goes Shula, Hallis, Belichick, Landry, and then Reid.
Wow.
So 2 of the 5 all-time winningest coaches are coaching now.
How many is Reid behind Belichick? If they're 5th and 3rd.
51. I'm sorry, 49.
49. So, I mean, think about that.
Actually, no, my bad. 69.
Okay. Because 49 means that there's a legit shot to get these two ended up 1 and 2, if you know what I mean.
Right. Shula's 347. Hallis is 324. Belichick next year will be second all time. He's only 3 behind Hallis, but he's 26 behind Shula. So probably 3
more years. Could Reed catch Hallis?
Right now, he is 72 behind George Hallis. Well, I mean, with
Patrick Mahomes,
guy,
but that's 7 years of doing 10-plus wins.
6 times 12 is 72, so it's 6 to 7. Probably 7. Tough to maintain the win total. Playoff wins count, though. So
it would be, I mean, we could end up with Belichick, Shula, Reed.
It's possible. It's possible.
He'll get to 4th.
My guess is, I got money on Papa Bear right now to maybe have Reed 4th, but you're on to something. Anyway, Reed in 2023 should pass Tom Landry. He's 18 behind Landry now.
He'll be 64 in March.
Well, and if Andy's health will allow, we figure he's got to coach into his early 70s.
Right.
To start challenging.
Throw it out the year because people would want to know that.
Jimmy G's never lost at the Rams. I mean, he's been with the Niners for 5 years. He's played them on the road 3 times. He's 3-0. And just so you know, the Rams have not beaten the Niners since the 2018 season. And that was when Jimmy G got hurt and they weren't good yet. So, just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It is interesting how we don't have a 1, we don't have a 2, and we don't have a 3 in the NFC. And just, this is the 3rd straight year we have a wild card team in a conference championship game. Last year, the Bucs were a wild card team. The year before that, the Tennessee Titans were a wild card team. So, does anybody think we're going to get a 3rd Super Bowl between the Bengals and the Niners?
No.
Because wouldn't that equal we've had 3 Cowboys-Steelers Super Bowls? That Knowles Steelers beat Landry's Cowboys twice, but then Switzer's 95 team beat Cowher's team. So we've had 3 Steelers-Cowboys Super Bowls, and if the 2 road teams win, we'll have a 3rd Bengals-Niners Super Bowl. So what is also interesting is we've got a chance for teams to go from last place to the Super Bowl. Both the Niners and Bengals were last in their respective divisions last year. The whole winning and hope, how quickly you can turn it around, and how we've had that happen on a handful of occasions here recently. Remember, when the Jags did it, they went from being in last place to 6 minutes away from the Super Bowl. So, just a couple of things, like that.
All right. I think for a lot of people not named David Moulton, the Rams winning's key to an enjoyable Super Bowl.
So you don't think that the Niners, who had a long and prosperous run, you don't think that their fandom still exists?
It's not that. They run and play defense. Okay? I'm just talking from the totality of from what people will perceive as an enjoyable Super Bowl. Right. The Niners getting to the Super Bowl crushes all of that.
All right, let me ask you this. When the Chiefs and the Niners played 2 years ago, did you find it not to be an enjoyable Super Bowl? Because they could meet again.
Wasn't one of the best.
No, it wasn't. I mean, an exciting ending in that you had a team down 10 mid-4th quarter, come back and win. So the last half hour or so was pretty
terrific. But I think if you give me Rams and Chiefs, I got a chance for the game to get into the 30s, be back and forth, and be a little bit better eye candy for more people.
Oh, you know what you'll hear a lot of if it's Rams and Chiefs. wasn't it a Monday nighter they played in 2018 when it was like 55-52, something like that?
And literally Pat Kerr the next day wondered if the league changed. And that's what we were talking about with Pat that next day. That's our poll question, by the way. Not who do you think's going to be in the Super Bowl. I'm not playing that game today.
You're not?
No.
Come on.
I'm playing what Super Bowl matchup do you most want to see?
Look at you. Look at you.
Right now, Rams-Chiefs getting 43% of the vote. Rams-Bengals getting 28% of the vote. 49ers-Bengals getting 30% of the vote. And right now, there is not one single person out there that wants to see the Chiefs play the 49ers.
Really?
Not one.
They'd rather see the Bengals play the 49ers
Yes.
as opposed to the Chiefs play
I
the
think
49ers?
that's just the history thing.
No rematch?
Yeah. That would be something, by the way, to see the same two teams in a 3-year span play one another twice in the Super Bowl. But believe it or not, and, I'm a strange duck. We all know that. But the game that I would most want to see would be Cincinnati and the Rams for two very different reasons. The Bengals making the Super Bowl screams hope. Screams it. Do you know how many fan bases could then take comfort for quite a while? Get your hands on a young stud quarterback and anything is possible. For goodness sakes, the Bengals went from the outhouse to the penthouse in 2 years. And it's not like they're a well-run organization.
Boy, David, you're really onto something with the Bengals, but it's twofold. One, it gives everybody hope, but the pressure it puts on everybody in the bottom third of the league.
Got to go find yourself a burrow.
Got to find a burrow.
They're hard to find. They're hard. Since he went, Carson Palmer was pretty good. Okay, they thought they had a burrow. All right.
Right. And I mean, Andy Dalton did a nice job. I mean, think about the Bengals over the course of 20 years. They were not awful.
Not at all. Not at all. Marvin Lewis took them to the playoffs like 7 times in 15 years.
Just couldn't win a game. They just couldn't get out of their own way.
Literally not a game. It's remarkable. So the Bengals for that reason, and the Rams because, the Rams are all in. I want more teams to do what the Rams are doing. Do you know who I think that this could turn around and really cause problems for? And I know this fan base doesn't do this. They're more lapdog than they are confrontational. But if you're a Packers fan, think about what could happen. Tampa Bay went and got a bunch of guys and kind of, we're making a 2 to 3 year run here. And what do? They go to the Super Bowl and win it. And then here's the Rams, who are making no bones about it. We're trading away assets like crazy. We're taking salary cap hits. We're bringing in stars. We think great players is what you need to win a Super Bowl. What if the Rams go to their second Super Bowl in 4 years? I mean, think about it. We've got teams that are pushing their chips into the middle of the table, and it's working.
I love that you put some thought into this. I'm not messing around because it is great to think of. You'd have the all-in team.
Yes.
Back-to-back. Because Tampa was all in.
Yeah, and the Rams not too long ago got in the first time.
Right. So back-to-back going all in.
Yeah.
And then one of the greatest hope stories that you could have. An outhouse to penthouse story in short time.
And most Bengals fans don't think they're a well-run organization today. They just think that they found Joe Burrow, and he covers up. He's like putty. He covers up a lot. I think it would be great for two different reasons. It'd also be like one of the worst watched Super Bowls in mankind.
Yeah, the NFL is really hoping you're wrong about the Bengals. They need the Chiefs. The other side, they can't do much about.
Right. I see 3 key holding penalties on the Bengals Sunday. I mean, come on. If you're the NFL, the Chiefs have got to be in this game.
What are you saying over there, David? That's the first time I've ever heard you go conspiracy theory.
What? So
for the NFL? For the NFL?
That's true. That's true. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't believe it's going to be intentional. It's just Mark. It's an offensive line that's struggling. 9 sacks last week. Chris Jones and company this week. I'm just saying it's possible. Could see a couple holding penalties. Miller and Moulton. Ryan Green, live from Jacksonville in 20 minutes time here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Klecko, I think he was saying, I think I saw something where he was saying, keep shooting that 3 in the corner, boy. Shoot that 3, boy. And it was probably the boy that set him off. But yeah, that was interesting. Oh yeah, that could have escalated. Although I think all of Philly would have beat the you-know-what. Actually, I don't know.
Did you see this goal, by the way?
Yeah. It did. It was very good.
I got to admit, if I was the opposing coach, I think I'd challenge the stick.
That one was pretty too.
Nobody does it anymore, but I think I'd challenge the stick.
Is there a term in hockey for that kind of goal, like picking it up and like?
Isn't it called the Michigan?
It is called the Michigan, because I got a notification about it, and it said he scores the Michigan.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's.
Oh, because the Michigan player did it first.
Right.
I got you. Yeah, I rough tough. I have no idea what stations we're on.
Pretty sure we're on 98.1.
101.5, I guess, is the other one we're on in Naples.
Well, yeah, but I thought they took one of them away.
104.3, I think.
Is that the one?
Also, this place used to be 99.1. Now it's
3.
99.3.
or 99.3. Yeah.
We're aware.
We were
Right.
on
They
it.
almost like-
switched it over for us.
Yeah, actually,
We're the reason they put us on
we did
99.3.
so well they moved us to FM.
Wait, really?
Yeah. We've been on in this market
But-
for a long time.
You may
that-
just want to listen. We were kind of a big deal here.
No, I know that, but that switch happened while
Because
I was
of us.
while I was interning.
No, it didn't.
No, it happened.
It
in
switched
2000.
back while you were interning.
Yeah.
They lost 99.3. Do you want to know why they lost 99.3? Because we kicked their ass on the other station. We put them on an FM and then we took them off an FM.
Bang on your
And
chest,
then
Mark.
it's facts. It's not banging on chest. These are just facts.
I don't do
This isn't that
trust
was
me.
a great game last night when it was a 40-point difference. These
Yeah.
are factual
I mean,
statements.
Mark Miller does not do if, ands, or buts. He does absolutes. Or
I mean,
coming back.
trust me.
I don't think it's been a 104.3 in a while, Klecko. But
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 22 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton on a Football Friday. Football Friday. I only got 2 of them left. Sorry, the Pro Bowl doesn't count. So enjoy them while you got them. Poll question, that Mark Miller. I'll retweet it here in a moment, I promise. The David Moulton. No, not who you think's going to play in the Super Bowl. Mark, what are you going with?
what Super Bowl matchup do you most want to see? And right now, it's a push. Rams, Chiefs, 49ers, Bengals. Rams, Bengals coming in a close third. 49ers, Chiefs, a dismal 4th place.
That's interesting to me. It is. I figured nobody was going to choose the one I'm choosing, but I want Bengals Rams for 2 very different reasons.
I like your rationale behind it. I will say that. You can follow the show a gazillion different ways. Obviously, on the radio, whether you're in Lake City, Port Charlotte, St. Pete, Tampa, or the Fort Myers, Naples area. You can listen to the show. Go to millerandmoulton.com to do it that way. You can watch the show on Twitch, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. We'd appreciate it if you check us out and follow and or subscribe. And if you want to communicate with the show, texting is one of the ways you can do it. You can do that by texting FSN Radio to 21,000. FSN Radio, all one word. We got these texts. Because David and I, last night, I had softball practice with my daughter and met my neighbors.
So you claim.
I know their names and everything. Talk to the guy enough where I actually could see we could have a beer socially.
Huh. Wow. That's radical.
Bold statement right there, David.
Sure is.
Yeah, I didn't use the F word. I didn't say like we're going to be friends one day.
Hey,
I said
now.
one day we might have a beer. I'm not going nuts
I
here.
say, hey, now take it easy.
But they live 5 doors down, and David's like, that's not neighbors. That's in another county. Because David apparently only considers his neighbors to be on either side of his house or across the street,
Right.
of which in those 3 homes, he only knows the names of one of those 3 people. That's Doug.
Hi, Doug.
And so with that, we get a text who's saying that we were talking about these coaches and win list and where Andy Reid will end up, and that Belichick is closing in on Shulin, could maybe get him in the next couple of years, and he'll get Hallis next year. And Andy Reid's at the point where he could end up maybe being 4th, 3rd on that list. Texter says, so you're saying Andy Reid is neighbors with some legends?
No, but I'm saying he has a chance to join the development. It's very different.
And this texter just simply says, as we were talking about Joe Burrow and having to find yourself a Burrow to go from hope to winning. He says the Bengals have a burrow. The Jags just burrow. Well said. Well said.
So I saw a stat, and I've hesitated to bring this up because I didn't know the answer. But with the teams that have made it to the conference championship game, having made it here in recent years, we have 32 teams, obviously, in the league. And in the Super Bowl era, 31 of the 32 have made it as far as a conference championship game, because even the Lions,
right,
in the 91 season, made it to the NFC championship game.
And I think the Redskins just scored again.
Detroit does not have a good history in Washington.
No.
That's for sure. But 31 of the 32 teams have made it to the conference championship game. Name the one franchise that's never made it to a conference title game.
Houston Texans.
There you go. There you go. Right off the tip of your tongue.
That's actually an easy one for me.
And 2 commercial breaks. I was sitting here going through the division.
Oh, really?
Going through the divisions.
Oh, my God. Is this how you feel all the time? I've never felt this before. This is great.
I'm going through the divisions. I'm like, well, obviously all the teams in the NFC East, and I'm going through, I'm like, yeah, even the Lions. Okay, so now we're in the South, and oh yeah,
I'm not joking. I've got Twitch in front of me. I'm looking at cameras. There's nothing here.
We did not talk about this during the break. I just threw it out there. Mark's like, well, it's the Houston Texans, dumbass. I'm like, you're right on both accounts.
What? I've never felt this good in the history of Miller and Moulton. This is great. Can we just end now? I know Ryan Reed's coming on, but I mean, I need to walk around or something.
But what I think this does, though, is, man, how do you feel if you're that fan base and you're currently a mess? So once again, you look at Joe Burrow and the Bengals, and you're like, oh, wow. Really, who knows?
You have one.
You're going to trade him.
But you still have one.
Do you think there's any way possible to revisit that if you're both sides?
Well, the thought was that Flores and he want to play with one another.
Yeah, which I find interesting as to how that's the case. All right, because Flores has never coached Deshaun Watson in any way, shape, or form. And when you are a member of Organization A, you are literally not allowed to contact players on Organization B.
So do you think that's a bunch of hogwash?
No, I think through back channel and what have you. I think, first off, Brian Flores has been in the league an hour and a half, and he realizes you can't win unless you find yourself a Burrow. And of all the possibilities out there, he's like, I think the closest I can get to a Burrow that I know is a fairly known quantity is that guy in Houston. He's got some issues, so I hear he's available.
It is going to be one of the more interesting offseason things that happens, because there's so much baggage that comes with this. Like, David, you wouldn't take him, right? You're a GM of a team. You wouldn't take Deshaun Watson.
No.
I mean, that is in your
right
GM code. You've always said
right.
If someone does something disparaging towards women, they're dead to you. You've said this I've known you a long time. You said it first time we did a show together, basically.
No, the charges would have to go away. For me to even consider it.
But there are no charges.
I'm sorry. The civil suits would have to go away. And there's a lot of them.
Okay, so if he just pays all those off?
Well, that would be a good start. Yes. Okay. In order for us to sit in the room and actually have a meeting about this, all right, you need to be able to look me in the face and go, hey, there's nothing out there. Well, the league's going to suspend him, but so what? We're not going to be good next year anyway. He'll miss 4 to 6 games. Consider it like a torn knee ligament. He'll be fine. He's got a meniscus. Think of it that way.
And so I don't know, like, where the Flores, so they've talked to one another. They've said, hey, I'd like to play with you, and I'd like you to coach me. Okay. If that's the case, then Houston should have hired him an hour ago.
I agree. But apparently Houston wants to get rid of him. So therefore, no reason to hire Flores for that reason.
100%.
But it is the coaching carousel, the quarterback carousel, which is about ready to get going here soon. And it'll start with Rodgers. Houston's on record as saying we're going to trade Watson before the draft. Brady's on record as saying he's going to decide one way or another before the draft. You figure if Seattle's going to do anything, they're going to do it by the draft. So, never mind the whole veterans. This Cousins for Mayfield trade, by the way, has some oxygen. It's not just stuff thrown out there in the Twitch chat room and what have you, that the Vikings, don't want Kirk Cousins long-term. They do not want to sign him to another contract, and he's entering the final year of his deal. And they don't have anybody to replace him, and they've got cap issues. And Mayfield's entering the 5th year of his rookie deal, which is far less, even as the first overall pick, than what Cousins makes. So they could swap the two.
Save about 10.
Maybe more.
12, somewhere in that range.
And see whether or not he's your young guy that you're going to invest in. Because you're done with the 34-year-old. We're moving on. Even though right now the 34-year-old's better than the 25-year-old. I mean, I don't think that's arguable.
No.
Nobody likes the 34-year-old, but he is better than the 25-year-old.
Well, not many people like the 25-year-old either.
Boy, which is funny because his commercials are moderately entertaining and self-deprecating.
He was bad, and then he was pretty good, and then he was pretty bad this year. And nobody is giving the guy one benefit of one doubt of injury. I feel like I am the only person out there that's giving Baker Mayfield a chance. Now, I don't know how good he's going to be, but I can clearly look at this season and go, the guy was injured.
Yes, injured. He wasn't hurt. He was injured.
And there's a big difference.
Yes. I mean, he played with a brace on his left shoulder, which clearly pulled his shoulder down. You test out your throwing mechanics in a mirror. Take your front shoulder and pull it down every time you're trying to throw the ball. I mean, it's tough to throw it.
Now, my biggest worry is when this comes off, how much does it screw up with mechanics and where this could lead to? But I'm not done with Baker Mayfield yet.
If you're the Vikings, you make the deal?
Yeah.
If you're the Browns, do you make the deal?
No.
Huh. Interesting.
If I'm the Browns, I'm keeping Baker Mayfield.
Who's the head coach of the Browns?
Kevin Stefanski.
Right. Where did he come from? Minnesota. Just throwing it out there.
I got you.
27 minutes before the hour. Ryan Green, 1010XL in Jacksonville. Next, here on the Florida Sports Network. We've hit the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, still has huge cash prizes up for grabs.
This week, new customers can get on the game and play free for millions with their first deposit. There are only a few weeks of football left, so draft your squad now.
Playing daily fantasy football simple. Just pick your lineup of NFL stars, staying under the salary cap, and score enough points to bring home cash.
And with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes, you'll feel the action of the divisional round like never before.
DraftKings, safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want.
Download the DraftKings app now and use the promo code M&M to play free for millions. That's right. Enter promo code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. Get in the action for the divisional round only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yes, and the new Vikings GM did spend 1 year last year in Cleveland. No, Adam. Baker Mayfield does not suck like Blaine Gabbert. I'm with you, August. That's the one I want.
Bianchi's columns today is the Orlando. Orlando should make their push to get the raise.
Pat Williams said that, but then again, Pat Williams says a lot of
Pat
things.
probably paid Mike to write the article.
Pat said it a few years ago, though.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think it would do well in Orlando.
He would do horribly.
I don't think it's a good sports town.
I don't think it's a sports town.
Although it's got a little soccer thing going.
It does. I like this. This comment. I'm excited for teenagers to rebel against their Fox News aided parents by reading books and carrying them on other people. I just thought it was a funny tweet. So I looked to see who the guy was. He got a lot of followers. He's like, often wrong, but never in doubt. Twitter all rookie first team 2020.
Nice.
Everybody's retweets don't equal endorsements. That's the big thing people say. Retweets equal retweets. That's funny.
Kind of DC, just that he doesn't get assigned another playoff game. Like Mr. Boger there, and the Bengals Raiders game. Klecko, why? There's no reason to load the truck. I don't know how many spring training games are going to be, Klecko. The other thing David Sampson brought up is, we have to finish the offseason. We have a ton of players that are unsigned. So let's just say they sit down and they hammer out a deal. You not only need 2 weeks for visas and to get spring training set up and this, that, and the other thing, but you need time to have an off season. So it's a mess.
Ryan's on hold. We're back in 30.
Thank you.
Who's he with?
And 10 XL.
10, that's right.
10 seconds.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Our poll question, go to that Mark Miller or the David Moulton on Twitter and vote. What Super Bowl matchup do you most want to see? Not which one do you think we'll get. And Mark, you are so right. Nobody wants to see Niners Chiefs. Was that game that bad 2 years ago? You got to remember, I was working it. So, it was a one of the professional thrills of my life. So obviously, I'm into the game.
No, I just think styles make a fight. That actually makes the best fight, but people don't want to see defense. People do not like defense, David. You are the last man standing when it comes to loving defensive football.
Me and the Ryan family. That's about it. Ryan Green is kind enough to join us from 1010XL in Jacksonville. You can follow Ryan on Twitter at, Ryan Green 1010XL. Ryan, it's David and Mark once again. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
Gentlemen, I'm good. How are you guys?
We're fine. We have one simple question. What in the hell's going on, Ryan?
Well, let's see. Last time I was on, I was talking about clowns. Now I'm talking about a coaching search that's lasted 43 days. That's how long ago it was since Urban Meyer was fired. The first coaching interview was done 30 days ago, and here we are on January the 28th in Jacksonville, and we still don't know who the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars will be. We really don't know who the general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars will be. When those fans dressed up as clowns 19 days ago, they were pretty spot on. It's been a circus up here for the last several weeks.
All right, Leftwich appeared to be the guy. They wanted him. He wanted them. But Trent Baalke, he doesn't want. What is the power? What is the relationship between Khan and Baalke, and why is he so untouchable in this organization?
If I knew that, then I'd be the only one that knew, other than Shad Khan, I suppose. It is fascinating, guys. Look, nothing against the guy personally. There's professional, and then there's personal. I don't know Trent Baalke from Adam. I've had brief conversations with him, so this is not a personal attack. He's probably a great family man. I'm sure he's wonderful in that regard. Professionally, I have not heard a positive thing about Trent Baalke, and we've tried. We've talked to national writers. We've talked to former players. We've talked to former front office people in the NFL. We've talked to former head coaches in the NFL. Bar none, I have not heard a positive thing regarding Trent Baalke and his professional career inside the National Football League. For the life of me, I have absolutely no idea what Shad Khan sees in this man. I still don't think the Byron Leftwich thing is gone. I still think Byron, if you had to ask me, he's going to be the favorite to get the job. But Byron reportedly let it be known. Baalke isn't happening. If I'm coming, you're going to let me bring Adrian Wilson with me, who is the vice president of pro scouting with the Arizona Cardinals. I want him as my GM. And Byron has every right to do that. He's a first-time head coach. If you want him to succeed, give him the tools to succeed. Do not strap him, if you will, with a general manager in place that he does not want to work with.
I mean, Ryan, if we're going to, psychoanalyze this, it's pretty fascinating. I mean, let's put ourselves in Khan's shoes. He's got the fan base showing up at games dressed as clowns, protesting the general manager, more so than even the franchise's one-loss record. Then the most popular hire that he can make as head coach, a former Jaguar with Tom Brady's endorsement, says, I desperately want the job. Thank you so much. Get rid of the guy that the people are wearing clown suits for. And yet he's supporting the guy that people are getting dressed up in clown suits for. I mean, psychologically, Ryan, it's fascinating.
Told you guys last time, it's a soap opera. Who needs As the World Turns or Guiding Light to come back when you can just follow the Jacksonville Jaguars on a daily basis? It sure makes my job a whole heck of a lot of fun. And yeah, you're right. I mean, look, and Trent Baalke, by the way, this isn't just hearsay. In the last 4 years, the guy's been either an assistant GM or a general manager, 2 in San Francisco, 2 in Jacksonville. His clubs are 11-54. Go look at his draft classes in San Francisco. It's not hard. They were terrible. Go look at what he's done here in Jacksonville with the draft. The assistant GM last year, the GM this year. They drafted C.J. Henderson 9th overall. The guy's no longer on the team, and he was taken 21 months ago. All right, this is not rocket science. Not only does he have a horrible reputation around the league, he's not any good at his job as general manager. I don't know. The only thing I can come up with, Shad Khan is a very loyal guy, and I think he's very loyal to a flaw. You don't bring Dave Caldwell, the old general manager, back year after year after year if you're not incredibly loyal. And I do believe it is a flaw of Shad Khan. Shad Khan, I also believe, is not necessarily a football guy. He's not a Jerry Jones guy. He's got enterprises and his bumper industry with plants all over the world. He's in Vancouver one day and Berlin the next. He wants somebody that's going to run his football team. And when you travel in and you meet with Trent Baalke and he's selling you a bill of goods like a used car salesman, maybe you might believe the guy. My thing is this, guys, and I'll try to be brief here. There's no way Shad Khan hasn't heard the outside noise. So either the Jaguars are ignoring it or choosing not to believe it when it comes to the reputation of Trent Baalke.
And it's got to be frustrating, Ryan, because as you mentioned, this guy is a billionaire for a reason. He's not a dumb man. He's been successful in every facet of life, and yet every time he hires someone for the Jags, it's seemingly been the wrong choice.
He might be over, quite frankly.
Right.
I mean, look at the head coach hires. Mike Mularkey, Gus Bradley, Doug Marrone, Urban Meyer. I mean, is there a check mark in that column? You look at the general manager hires. He retained Gene Smith. He brought in Dave Caldwell. He brought in Trent Baalke. He might be 0 for 7, quite frankly. I mean, I know Marrone got to an AFC championship game. See, Marrone was an easy hire. He was on Gus Bradley's staff. He was an interim coach at the end of the 2016 season, and you retain him. That seemed like the easy thing to do. Last year, and you got to give Shad Khan credit in this regard, he did what the fan base wanted. You talk about Byron Leftwich being a fan favorite. I got to tell you, Jacksonville was on cloud 9 when Urban Meyer was brought in here.
Right.
So Shad Khan has listened to the fans. He's made the big splash, and it completely blew up in his face. I guess I like this time around they're taking more of their time with it. But we're, like you said, we're at day 30 now. Enough's enough. You need to make a decision. And Shad Khan appears to this point to be willing to die on the hill with Trent Baalke, because from all our indications, there are a lot of coaches that have interviewed here that want nothing to do with Trent Baalke. I'll ask you guys a question. The first 2 coaches to interview for the Jaguar coaching spot were Doug Peterson and Jim Caldwell. They were both over a month ago. It's pretty interesting they haven't interviewed again. Why do you think they haven't interviewed again? Because there's no way either one of those guys is going to work with Trent Baalke. And that's the problem the Jaguars are running into and continue to run into as of now.
Well, Ryan, it does beg the question then, who will take the job if, in fact, that Khan is siding with Baalke? I have to wonder, at the time that Jim Caldwell interviewed with Jacksonville, he might have thought he was also potentially going to get another job. He was a finalist in Chicago. I think he thought he had a really good chance in Miami. It looks as if Jim Caldwell's striking out, and Jim Caldwell's not a young man. Maybe he will grin and bear it now and work with Trent Baalke. I heard that the Jaguars' private plane was out in Denver not to pick up Nathaniel Hackett, but to actually talk with Vic Fangio. Okay, that's how far down the list they now are in terms of getting somebody to agree to work for them and Trent Baalke. Ryan, who's next after Leftwich?
Well, it's interesting in that there's a column of Baalke guys, and there's a column of guys that won't work with Baalke. I'll tell you guys right now, it's my understanding Nate Hackett used Jacksonville as leverage, and I don't blame him, for a second interview to scare Denver enough to up the price tag to get him the contract out in Denver yesterday. And that's smart business by Nate Hackett and his reps. Nate Hackett was never going to work here in Jacksonville for Trent Baalke. On the flip side, Matt Eberflus, who took the Chicago job, I was told would have worked with Trent Baalke. So that's always the question now when they're bringing these guys in. Are they willing to work with Baalke, or are they not? It appears Byron Leftwich is not willing to work with Baalke. You mentioned Fangio. I got to tell you, when that hit yesterday, that to me was such a leverage play by somebody, it's not even funny. Your 3 finalists were Hackett, Eberflus, and Leftwich. You lost Hackett and Eberflus yesterday, meaning the only Jaguar finalist that was left was Byron Leftwich. 15 minutes after Eberflus takes the Chicago job, all of a sudden, Adam Schefter comes out with this Vic Fangio thing. That's one heck of a coincidence that happened 15 minutes after the second of your three finalists took a head coaching job. To me, that absolutely reeks of somebody, potentially named Trent, sending a text message to Adam Schefter saying Vic Fangio is in play to try to keep leverage on Byron Leftwich. The Fangio thing is not going to happen.
Well,
I believe they interviewed him. I think it might have been for a defensive coordinator position. But again, what on earth are you doing interviewing potential defensive coordinator candidates without a current head coach? This coaching process and this carousel here in Jacksonville has made very little sense, and it got even stranger yesterday.
Well, and Ryan, final question, and we're a little pressed for time, but you said that the source was probably Trent Baalke. I mean, that's the word out on the street, that all the stuff that came out about Urban was Trent Baalke burying Urban Meyer through his media contacts. How could Khan in the front office not realize that Baalke is the source for all of these leaks?
I think there are people in that building that know that. I think there are people in that building that share the same sentiment that Trent Baalke is probably not the guy that needs to be the general manager. I just don't think the owner of the team is there yet. Again, guys, I still think Byron Leftwich is the favorite. I still think the Adrian Wilson thing will happen. I've even heard rumors that Baalke would stay on as EVP of player operations. No way that happens. You're not going to work with Byron Leftwich and Baalke in the same building when Byron said no to him as GM. If you were to pin me down, I think it's still going to be Byron and Adrian Wilson. I think Shad Khan's going to have to suck it up, for lack of better terminology, and get rid of Baalke. Because if he doesn't get rid of Trent Baalke, I'm very fearful at the direction his coaching search may go.
He's Ryan Green, 1010XL in Jacksonville. Follow him on Twitter at Ryan Green, 1010XL. Ryan, we always appreciate your time and your insight, particularly at this hour. All the best. I hope it works out well for you and the Jags.
Fellas, who knows what it'll be a couple of weeks from now. Give me a call back.
Will do, Ryan. Will do. Thanks. Ryan Green, 1010XL in Jacksonville. Ryan Green, 1010XL on Twitter. Isn't it a fascinating, just in a human deal? Everybody marches before you, Mark, and tells you that so-and-so over there is toe jam. Can't work with them. You got to be kidding me. Get rid of them. And if you do get rid of them, you make everybody happy. The clown suits go away, and your number one choice to be coach comes on and is coach. And you go, no, I'm okay.
I've been there. I've seen this before, at a different level. But I've been around, in minor leagues, but I've been in organizations. And sometimes when you tell the guy who thinks he's the smartest guy in the room and is in charge that he's an idiot because he hired this guy, they get even more defiant.
Yeah, but it's not just you telling me that I'm an idiot. It's you and 37 others lined up behind you.
That's the part I don't get. Internally, it's one thing. Interview-wise, it's another thing. But it seems that most of the football world is trying to tell Shad Khan that Trent Baalke is a bad general manager. I mean, I don't think Ryan Green minced any words in that last interview.
No, definitely did not. Liked his opening line, though. Well, you called me 2 weeks ago. It was clown suits. And, well, we've lived up to it.
So it is fascinating as to what's going on in Jacksonville. And the fact of the matter is, they're struggling to find a head coach because of the GM.
Well, who's plan B? That's what I want to know. Who's plan B? Who will work with Baalke?
Vic Fangio.
I think he would.
I think he would too.
And I think there's a few other older coaches who would. Vic's in his 60s. Caldwell's in his 60s. If this is your last chance to get one of these gigs, you'll put up with a lot more than a guy in his 30s and 40s. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
We've hit the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, still has huge cash prizes up for grabs.
This week, new customers can get on the game and play free for millions with their first deposit. There are only a few weeks of football left, so draft your squad now.
Playing daily fantasy football is simple. Just pick your lineup of NFL stars, staying under the salary cap, and score enough points to bring home cash.
And with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes, you'll feel the action of the divisional round like never before.
DraftKings, safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want.
Download the DraftKings app now and use the promo code M&M to play free for millions. That's right. Enter promo code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. Get in the action for the divisional round only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So this is where it would be nice to be able to like look up the ratings.
Right.
Because if you know that like Keyshawn and Jay Will and them are not doing well, you could just go, hey, come on now.
And apparently the board op at 1010 who runs this board for us is a good friend of this guy's. That's what he told me. So
Really?
he said, never say never, but it sees unlikely. Look at my sea legs. I'll be able to provide more details. And I said, thanks for getting back to me. Let's stay in touch. And he said, you got it. I mean, that's not, hey.
Yeah, he got there like 2 weeks ago. He's been sending out photos of, beautiful morning in West Palm. And
Well, it is. No, we didn't, because these are both Moulton shirts.
right. That is true.
This is just an XL that didn't fit him.
That's not true. I actually got you one. That was actually me being nice.
Oh,
Because I've got one.
Well, I thought the first one you got didn't fit and you went here.
No, I was being nice to you. Because I can understand why it is that you.
Oh my God. Klecko, that's hysterical. That's really funny.
Wow.
That's hysterical in that business.
Yeah, what do you care? I don't, who cares? They show up for work, they do good work. I just. This is unbelievable.
I wasn't even done calling the play, is what it looked like he said, by the way.
We go Mo Egger here.
Oh, that's right. Banners. Station.
Is 30
That's what I
ESPN.
thought.
Yes, ESPN 1530.
Ten seconds. I'm getting Mo on the phone now.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Halfway home for those of you in the 239, but for those of you in Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, and Port Charlotte and Venice, it is the final hour of Miller and Moulton for the day and for the week. Thanks so much for being with us here on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Soren Petro scheduled to join us coming up bottom of the hour live from Kansas City. And Rob Stats Guerrera, who hosts a podcast about the 49ers, will join us 1 hour from now.
I don't know if anybody's ever gone with Rob Stats Guerrera before like that. That was fantastic.
Selling it, baby. It sounds like a fighter, doesn't it? I love the fact that every fighter has a nickname, and some of them are bad, in which it's like, listen, you're a fighter. We got to give you a nickname.
That's what it really is. I mean, it's basically the old Art Dorr who ran the Tough Man going, all right, Moulton. Okay, we got that one done. You know, it's like.
Totally. You know, to be honest with you, I always thought Tyson's nickname was terrible.
Iron Mike?
Yeah. I always thought it was like they're sitting around going, we got to come up with a nickname for this guy. He's knocking everybody out. What do you got? We're taking suggestions. We need one. He fights at 8:00 on USA Network. Remember back in the day, USA Network? Did the fights, midweek fights.
I just liked, thinking about that, him coming out in basically the towel.
Yes. Yeah.
Like his robe was just like a ripped towel that they threw over him.
Yeah. How come you we're not going to be here long. All right. There's no sense of, having a grand entrance or this, that, and the other thing. He'd show up, black trunks, black gloves, black shoes, just standing there. We'll be out of here in less than 6 minutes. Come on, let's go.
All right, a lot of text today all over the place, but I just want to address this last text that we received. As we were talking about teams and hope and all this, listening to in the the Jags interview, someone said, listening to this makes me feel a little better as a Dolphins fan, listening to that last Ryan Green interview. I would think it would make you feel far worse because you're doing the exact same thing that they are. And while Greer may have slightly more credibility than Trent Baalke, it's not much. You two teams are in the exact same spot, in the exact same place. You can't get a coach. Coaches don't seem to want to come work for you. Now, the only thing that's still out there for Miami, and while I'll hold reservation for the Dolphins, is that there is a thought that Jim Harbaugh is going to wait until after signing day, and then he is going to leave for the NFL. Everybody has said if he leaves, it's Vegas. I would never count the Dolphins out with Stephen Ross. So if Miami happens to go into next week and it's Harbaugh, well, then I'll circle back and say they got their guy. But outside of that, they are limited in the coaching search the same exact way that the Jacksonville Jaguars are limited in their coaching search. If it wasn't the case, they'd have a coach already.
Well, it is interesting that it's now Friday morning, and reportedly Brian Daboll was the choice on Wednesday. And here we are. The Giants have been able to interview Flores yesterday. They're going to interview Leslie Frazier today. Many an expectation that they will make their decision tomorrow, wanting to bring their head coach with them to Mobile. So I'm surprised these coaching searches are taking this long. To me, they went much more quickly than this in the past.
That's what I thought.
I mean, maybe we're thrown off by the fact that everything's a week later because we had a week 18 this year. So maybe it just seems later and it's actually the normal time frame. But to me, things seem more drawn out, particularly by the teams who have had a general manager. Like if the Dolphins lose their guy to a team like the Giants, who had to hire a GM before hiring the coach, it's like, come on, guys, you had an advantage here. I mean, if they don't get Dable, to me, if I'm a Dolphin fan also, it's like, well, Dan Quinn wanted to go back to Dallas instead of us offering him the job?
Thank you. To me, it's even a little bit more than that. And I'm so happy you went there, David, because that's exactly where I wanted to take this conversation. Is it just that Dan Quinn's going back to Dallas, or does this say that Chris Grier can't pick his guy? I mean, if all stories were that Grier's guy was Dan Quinn, he's a GM there that can't even pick his coach. Do you really want to go work for this organization? Dan Quinn took his name out because he was told he's not getting the job. I mean, we all know that.
Right, that's certainly what we think. Either that or the 2 or 3 places where he was still a finalist, he ultimately said, I don't really know if I wanted that job. I think I'll wait and see what opens up next year. Because remember, Dan interviewed in 6 places.
Right.
And until Sean Payton walked away, there were only 8 places to interview. And Dan interviewed in 6 of them.
And thought he had the job in Denver. That didn't happen. The GM in Miami wants him. He's not hired and took his name out of consideration for the job. Which, again, if they're not getting Debo there, then maybe it's the home run hit. And Stephen Ross loves to make those. Maybe on Wednesday we're going to find out that Jim Harbaugh is coming to South Beach, David.
Well, the one thing I will say, if teams don't make their move by tomorrow, the NFL will really not be happy with them if they do anything within 18 hours of those conference championship games. So Saturday becomes Monday quickly, and Monday is the Senior Bowl in Mobile. So, and how many GMs are actually going to be in Mobile? A lot of them.
You would think nearly all of them.
Now, in theory, you could send everybody else but you, and you could stay back and hire a head coach, but I'm very surprised that the processes have taken this long everywhere, to be brutally honest.
And not one hire of someone who has coached in the league before.
Yeah, it's remarkable to me. No past GMs, no past head coaches. Now, we did point out last week, I mean, the 8 teams that were left, we had 6 of those coaches who the job they have is the first head coaching job they had ever had. But it is remarkable. There are many more misses than hits. I mean, like I mentioned him earlier, John Dorsey. John Dorsey put together a good roster in Cleveland.
He's done it in other places.
And he put together a pretty good roster in Kansas City. Now, they made it better, but, I mean, John Dorsey knows what he's doing.
And knows how to lay the foundation for a franchise.
And I'll say this also. He's his own man. I mean, he went with guys at 1-4 in Cleveland that most people did not want him to go with. Now, maybe he's going to turn out to be wrong. But remember, I mean, most people said you needed to go Sam Darnold 1. Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield right now? Who would you take?
Mayfield, it ain't close.
So now, obviously, not Josh Allen, but in fairness, revisionist history, there was nobody saying take Josh Allen 1. I mean, let's be fair.
No, we were all wondering if Josh Allen could play. He was at Wyoming. He wasn't that accurate. And he wasn't that accurate the first 2 years in Buffalo.
No, he wasn't.
You know, revisionist history here. Allen was the great pick and everything was right. No, it wasn't. Heading into year 3, there were a lot of questions on Josh Allen.
I mean,
And that was the year that he had the turnaround.
Yeah. And he raised his percentage by over 10%. They also got him Stephon Diggs, and that helps.
But his mechanics changed.
Yep.
I mean, it was well documented, the work that he put in to change the way that he throws the football.
Which is also why Brian Daboll is such a highly sought-after candidate, because he was the guy who was working directly with Josh Allen in Buffalo. But, you know, have we heard from Bears fan today? Because if I'm a Bears fan, I don't think the last 24 hours have gone very well.
David, no one's heard from a Bears fan in 24 hours. They've shut off all social media. They've shut their phones off, and they are in the fetal position right now because they have no idea what the hell's going on.
And it's not that a defensive coach can't coach offense. I mean, you can make a case, actually, that they know offense as well or better than offensive guys. Because, hell, they have to stop them. I mean, if the Patriots struggled offensively with Bill Belichick as head coach, so, you know, you can hire a defensive coordinator and still have prolific offenses. But it's a first-time head coach again. And right now, there's no even clue as to who the offensive coordinator is going to be. And if you're a Bears fan, you're like, hey, we got a young stud quarterback. This is kind of important. Who is he?
You know, and I will say, and I was about to say it, Hops put it in our Twitch chat room. They did have an offensive guru last time, and it didn't seem to work out all that well.
No, it didn't. And that's why I'm not bent out of shape that they hired Matt Eberflus, who was the defensive coordinator in Indianapolis. If I'm a Bears fan, I got to admit, though, I would have preferred some experience with these hires, whether it be GM or head coach. The other thing that concerns me, and I know he's in the Hall of Fame, so it sounds ridiculous to say, but if I'm a Bears fan, I'm not crazy that Bill Polian was this hands-on in my process here. I mean, Bill takes care of his friends. There's a long track record of Bill Polian taking care of his guys.
Well, and Bill's not been running a front office for a long time now.
And so I don't know, man. I mean, you're Chicago. You're in a division which in 10 minutes could be incredibly wide open, and you may very well have the best prospect at the position in the division.
Well, think about it. You've got Jordan Love, who we don't know if he can even play. The Vikings seemingly want to move away from Kirk Cousins, and Detroit has Jared Goff.
Right. And you're going to get a new stadium here in the next 5 years. Now, some people see it as a positive, some see it as a negative. I see it as a positive because it's probably going to have 10,000 more seats. So the Bears are going to make more money, which is good because their ownership's historically cheap. So the more money they make, the better it could be for the Bears. But, I mean, you know, we start looking at all these jobs. I mean, it is the Chicago Bears. It's a historic borderline royalty franchise. It is one of those franchises in which if you're a would-be head coach, you're thinking, boy, if I could win in Chicago.
You are right there. And it's
my
so
life
funny.
is set.
It is the one, and everything you said, historic franchise, all those things are there. It is the one I have the most trouble relating to because it's another team that has had brief moments, but for the most part in my lifetime, it's been
I'm just impressed that they went from a GM named Ryan to a GM named Ryan and a head coach named Matt to a head coach named Matt.
Didn't have to change anything in the parking lot.
Right. It was the old joke. Bob Newhart was on Johnny Carson back in the day, and Johnny had 3 wives, and they were like Joanne, and Joanna. And Bob Newhart looked right at him. He had just got married for the 3rd time and turned and looked at him and said, what, you didn't want to change the hand towels in the bathroom?
Funny then, funny now.
Just, hey, got to be able to laugh. And Johnny could laugh at himself with his marriages.
No, unbelievably good at it. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network. Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, you could. Where's their first rounder? Who do they have? Oh, the Rams. So it's going to be
29 to 32. So they have, let's just say it's 32 and 33. Nice bookend picks for a team right there. I would not trade them. Those are great picks, by the way.
Well, get your hands on a quarterback.
All right, just out of curiosity, if I called Seattle, I said I'll give you 32-33 by 1 next year.
No chance. Not enough. No chance. I also don't think it's a good move for the Lions because you're still not going to be good for. Well,
I don't know. I mean, Sewell got. I mean, in theory, you've got a franchise tackle.
You have a tackle and you have a tight end on offense.
I will say that they've got a slot guy. I mean, he's not anything to build up, but that Saint whatever played really well the second half of the season. I'd never heard of the guy before.
I will say the defense was fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this slowly and as politely as I can. We don't have anything to do with any of the stations that we're on. No idea if something's wrong with any of the signals, the streaming, or what have you. We have no idea. The key cards work. The show's from 6 to 10 in Southwest Florida. They let us in the door. We sit down. We do the show. That is literally all that we know.
And we leave by 10:02.
Felipe spends more time in this building than we do.
But they don't talk to him either. Does anybody talk to you from 10 to 11 when you're finishing up?
Yeah.
Really?
Time's time, yeah. I mean, it's just I interned here.
I understand. I worked here for 10 years.
Well, I think he's trying to say they like him.
Yeah.
As opposed to us.
I had no beef,
I really only had a beef with one person. He's not here anymore.
So I do know that people have been complaining about the signals on the Southwest Florida affiliate for a couple weeks. I have gotten quite a few people who have complained from all over the Lee and Collier County area. Escorted? No.
Not here. I mean, I was escorted out of the arena when I got fired. They always did that. Oh, no question. If he were standing in front of me, I wouldn't say one nice thing to him now. It doesn't matter. Fredo's Fredo. What are you going to do?
That was funny then, and it's funny now. That's one of the funnier things.
1 minute.
That was funny. It was funnier then because we were here,
Right.
and we still used it. I mean, you do have to acknowledge upon further review. I mean, our asshole factor could get pretty high.
Yeah,
in the
but
day.
so was theirs.
Well, I know. I mean, it's the thing. I mean, we were like third in line.
right.
30 seconds.
I mean, now, oh my goodness, we'd be clear separation number one.
$15 seconds. Went to the FGCU game yesterday. It was a good one. Big win.
We'll do the game here.
Yeah,
Had a terrible hot dog.
they have bad hot dogs there.
They do.
Bad hot dogs.
They did.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Soren Petro scheduled to join us coming up in about 15 minutes' time.
You can text the show. The keyword is FSN Radio. You text that word to 21,000. Then you can text as much as you want, like this gentleman did. Bears fan sent 69. I just didn't want Caldwell. Too old. I want a coach that can stick around for 15 years if all goes great, and Caldwell ain't coach until 82.
I really, you want 15 years. How about this? I'll give you 5 good ones. Yes or no? Are you serious? You're the Dolphins. This is the National Football League. You wouldn't take 5 good ones? I'll tell you right now, you'd take the Dave Wanstead era right now. Don't kid yourself. 40 wins in his first 4 years, 2 trips to the playoffs, a playoff win, please. And I'm not saying that disparagingly of Dave at all. I mean it. Dave did a fine job. And he did it with Jay Fiedler, by the way, and Damon Heward. You'd take it right flipping now. And then you'd worry about what to do in year 6.
David, 5 good years? Most NFL fan bases would take 3. I'm not joking. 3 good years. Hell, most fan bases would take their NFL team being the Miami Marlins. Give me 1 good year a generation, I'm happy.
It's Chris in our Twitch chat room. I'm 31. I've never seen 1 good season. Close. You did. You were a kid. Mark, I'll say it again. President when the Dolphins last won a playoff game? Bill Clinton. And you wouldn't take 5 good years in a row right now. That's a little old. Please.
First off, it was a Bears fan, not a Dolphins fan.
Okay.
But the same thing can apply to the Bears fan.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why it doesn't matter the fan base.
I mean, come on. So you were happy when they fired Lovie Smith coming off a 10-6 season? I mean, just you got to walk before you can run here, unless you find yourself a Joe Burrow.
And I'll tell you what, David is lucky we're talking football right now. I had David backed into a corner at the end of that commercial break. Had that commercial break lasted 30 more seconds, he basically would have been a hypocrite. He damn near called a hot dog at a certain place bad.
Well, they do have bad concessions there. I mean, if you believe there is such a thing as a bad hot dog,
and there is,
that place would have it.
And it does.
But I would have fought my way off the ropes. I mean, I wasn't going down with that.
Here's the thing. This is what I've tried to tell you for a day and a half. It doesn't mean that I won't eat a bad hot dog. I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm not going to eat that hot dog and play, Buffy and Muffy here. I'm just telling you I can eat that and go, God, that hot dog sucked. It can be done.
No worse than average.
All right. We probably need to make our picks on these games. Considering we've got guests lined up for the next
hour,
45 minutes or so. We do that good, bad, and ugly. Today was a day when thing. We probably need to figure out who it is we're picking to go to the Super Bowl.
Well, it's interesting that these two teams, the Chiefs and the Bengals, played week 17, and the Niners and the Rams played week 18. I mean, we're not talking all that long ago. I mean, basically rematches within the month. Bengals and Niners were the two teams that won a month ago. They're the two underdogs this time around.
Where you want to start?
Well, we'll go by 3 o'clock, 6:30. So we'll start in Kansas City, Bengals, Chiefs.
I'm stunned that this line has stayed the same.
Yeah, I thought it'd go above 7.
I thought it would go above 7 and go above 7 quickly. Apparently, the Sharps are being enamored with week 17, and the numbers staying relatively the same. I thought the Chiefs from the get-go. I thought the Chiefs while the Chiefs and the Bills were playing. I thought whoever wins this game is going to the Super Bowl. I'm not changing my mind on that. I don't know how they're going to slow Kansas City down. And I also think that Joe Burrow's offensive line letting him down, he's going to have to be forced to throw more this week. The difference last week is they didn't have to score a whole lot to beat him. They will have to outscore Kansas City. That'll cause Joe to throw maybe one more interception than he would like. Give me the Chiefs in this game. I'm going to go 39-32.
If you look at the two teams, there's one glaring area of weakness that one team has that the other doesn't. And otherwise, the two teams are pretty comparable. But it's the Bengals' offensive line. Now, I don't expect the Chiefs to whoop them up front the way that the Titans did. Because if they did, the Bengals would have no chance in this game because clearly you're going to have to score points and a lot of them to beat the Chiefs. But I think, Mark, because of that one area, that is why Kansas City is the clear choice over Cincinnati. I will say Burrow and those receivers tore Kansas City up a month ago. Tore them up. And I mean, if the Chiefs and the Bills played tomorrow, do we think either defense would slow them down? So why do we think that the Chiefs a month later are suddenly going to slow the Bengals down?
I mean, I know I have both teams in the 30s for that reason.
Can I say something though?
Yeah.
Arrowhead.
It's a little bit of a factor. I don't think it's as big a factor anymore as home fields used to be.
Right, because road teams are winning the most they ever have ever.
Right.
But it's the Chiefs.
I understand. And Mahomes, they're really good there in the playoffs. He's only lost the one game. It was in overtime to Brady and the Patriots in the AFC title game. I mean, we could do the math, first time around. Let's see, they are, I think, 6-1, 7-1. They're 7-1. Mahomes is, first off, he's never played a road playoff game. And he's 7-1 at home on the way to the Super Bowl. But we're both picking the Chiefs. Are you picking them to cover?
Yeah, I'm going to amend that because I had it right at the number. I'll go 39-31.
Look at you.
I'm just picking obscure scores because you know what is the most ridiculous thing in the world? Are people like David and I picking scores like we're going to be right. Now, the fact of the matter is that we did hit the Bucs-Rams game last week. We both had 30-27. David got it exactly right. I had the teams wrong. But when we went through all these games last week, and David and I are 30 this, dip, 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 dip. And I just looked at him after the 4 picks. I said, do you know how wrong we're going to be on these scores? You know that 2 of these games aren't going to come close to scoring these because they've been unders. So it's foolish to pick these high-scoring games. But, yeah, I think the Chiefs win, and I would lay – if I'm betting this game, I'm laying the points, David.
The over-under's right around 55, 54.5, 55. So that means 31-24 Chiefs. I think that's a little low. I would bet the over in this game.
I would as well.
I think the Chiefs will win. I think the Chiefs will win by 10. I do think that there will be a second half turnover by Cincinnati caused by the pressure up front by Spags dialing up pressure, and they'll force a turnover, and that'll be the difference, the separation between the two teams.
Yeah, and I'm right with you on that because I think, like I said, last week Joe Burrow didn't have to throw. He could take sacks and live for another down. When they're playing Kansas City, I think he's going to be forced to throw just a little bit more And the pressure to score points is going to be a little bit more apparent. David and I both picking the Chiefs to win and cover.
So far, by the way, overs are only 4-6 in the playoffs. The play has been to go under, which brings us to the Niners and the Rams. Over under of 46. Rams favored by 3.5. Do some quick math. Basically, 24-21 is 45.
That's what they're telling you.
So they're basically saying that's the game. Last time they played, it was 27-24 in overtime. Niners. Rams jumped out to the 17-0 lead and still could not win. Niners have won 6 in a row. Mark, I'll go first, and I'll say simply, when this happened, the third meeting, I thought they're not going to beat them 3 times. But the Rams can't run the ball against the Niners. And the Niners can run the ball on everybody. The Rams turn it over more than the Niners. And the Niners do the best job on Cooper Kupp of any team in the league. Styles make a fight. San Francisco literally has the Rams number. I'm going to take the Niners.
David, there's a time and every franchise should go to a Super Bowl, and this is the Lions year. There's never been a year quite like this. From Woodward Avenue to all the way up in the Upper Peninsula, the entire Mitten State is behind their Lions in this game against the 49ers. It's been a long time since the Lions have played for an NFC title.
It's 31 years, in fact, 30 years, in fact, Mark. So you're saying the Niners, through Matthew Stafford, are playing in this conference championship.
They are going to make up for the miss that Eddie Murray had in the divisional round that broke Gary Danielson's heart.
Oh, broke mine, too. I was rooting for him so hard.
And the Rams will not lose 3 times to the Niners. They had them last time. And as much as this year's been about getting Stafford, now this is a bugaboo for McVay. And I think if we're going to call McVay this offensive guru, which he is, he's got to figure out a way to get past the nemesis that are the 49ers. I like the Rams. I like them to win, and I like them to cover. I think this is going to be the end for Jimmy G and what's been a great run by the Niners. Give me 27-17 Rams.
Give me 20-17 Niners. Give me the Niners. Give me the points. Give me the under. Remember, Rams playing a road game this week. It's in SoFi.
No, I know. And the Lions play good in L.A.
Miller and Moulton. Soren Petro, live from Kansas City on the other side. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. We've hit the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, still has huge cash prizes up for grabs.
This week, new customers can get on the game and play free for millions with their first deposit. There are only a few weeks of football left, so draft your squad now.
Playing daily fantasy football simple. Just pick your lineup of NFL stars, staying under the salary cap, and score enough points to bring home cash.
And with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes, you'll feel the action of the divisional round like never before.
DraftKings, safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want.
Download the DraftKings app now and use the promo code M&M to play free for millions. That's right. Enter promo code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. Get in the action for the divisional round only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So I had the grossest thing in the world happen to me this morning. I left my coffee cup out in the garage yesterday. Just was kind of running around. I set my coffee, one of these 2 coffee cups that I have in the garage. I actually have 3. And this morning I'm like, where's my, it's out in the garage. It'd been in there for 2 days. I poured out the coffee that was in there.
Oh, no.
A roach in there.
Roach.
It was dead. But
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Like, I even couldn't use that coffee cup today. That thing will sit in a
Yeah,
hot water vinegar bath for about 12 hours before I even think about using it again.
got it.
That was just that.
No,
No, I didn't drink it. No. It was left over from, I think it was yesterday morning. I set the empty cup in the garage, and this morning, no, I didn't drink it. I just poured out the little bit that was yesterday, and all of a sudden a roach popped out. I was like, oh my God.
A roach has one of the best Spanish translations for an animal ever. You know what a roach is in Spanish? A cucaracha. La cucaracha.
I love, by the way, what do you expect the Eagles general manager to say? Do you really expect the Eagles general manager on January 20 whatever to come out and go, nah, we're moving on from Jalen Hurts?
Who is someone in the Twitch chat room said
Yeah.
that? Oh.
But the Eagles GM came out and said Jalen Hurts our number one quarterback next year. Well, what the hell is he going to say? Because if you come out and say that we're moving on from Jalen Hurts, you A, reduce his value, but also B, now teams out there know that, oh, wow, you need a quarterback. So they're going to ask for more.
And Ryan, this is where we have two different conversations. David will talk football. Ryan, I disagree with you. That is really gross. Only thing that's worse than that is when you grab the beer can that you think is yours and you take a sip and it's dip spit. I think those are the two grossest drinks that they're in Ryan. I mean, that's a poll question to me. I have two. Because I know people dip now, but when I was in high school, everybody dipped. That's what I just said. That's Hop said. Literally what I just said. That's when you take the beer can and it's a dip spit cup.
How's that go again? Wow, people picking the Bengals. Answer this question. Bengals win on Sunday. Most surprising Super Bowl run since?
Huh. Yeah, Hops, when you're 8, 10, 14 deep, you just grab the can because you think it's yours and you're sitting on the couch. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Plus, the odds are I was at a party in Michigan when this happened, and every can was cold. It was 14 degrees out. What's Soren's?
Soren Petro.
What's his station?
Sports Radio 810.
Thank you.
I wouldn't go that far back. I mean, I got to admit, when the Giants won their second Super Bowl with Eli, they were a 9-7 division champion, but 9-7, 7-7 with 2 weeks to play.
30 seconds, and Soren is on hold.
I think it'd be the most surprising team since the Giants, who
Who?
went on the road and beat a 15-1 Packers team and a 13-3 Niners team.
You're referring to the Niners?
If the Bengals got to the Super Bowl, yeah. I was asking most surprising Super Bowl team since.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Rob Stats Guerrera to join us, talk a little Niners after the top of the hour. It's a pleasure to catch back up with Soren Petro, Sports Radio 810 in Kansas City. Follow him on Twitter at Soren Petro, Soren Petro. How long, honestly, did it take you to start looking ahead to the AFC Championship game after that classic on Sunday?
Yeah, it took a good 24 hours. You know, they talk about a 24-hour rule in the NFL. I mean, Monday was dedicated to the, incredible nature with which the Chiefs came back and all things Patrick Mahomes. I mean, and I think it's been a real question this week, because as they make the different coaches available, the Chiefs are pretty tight-lipped and give only the league minimum access that they have to their different coaches. So they wheel out the assistant coaches. Yesterday, we get a chance to talk to the coordinators, and they're answering questions about 13 seconds. So, I think we were talking Cincinnati Bengals because that's the next step to win a championship. But in reality, I don't know that the organization is done yet talking about what happened against the Buffalo Bills. And some of that, like I said, by their own doing because of the limited access people have. They get the first chance to talk to some people. They have questions about how that happens. So, there's a belief, there's an understanding that the Bengals are next. But I don't know that it's really done yet talking about what happened against Buffalo.
And does anybody even remember that the Bengals beat the Chiefs the last time they played them? Because if they're like me, Soren, I've already penciled, that game was over. I was penciling the Chiefs into the Super Bowl despite what happened in Week 17.
Yeah, and that was where everybody was, I think, going into the Bills game. I think there was a feeling here in Kansas City, just the way the two games went, the way the Chiefs lost to the Bills and the way they lost to the Bengals, that the Bills are the superior team, and that was at least the AFC Championship game, if not the Super Bowl that was played last Sunday. And that's the question: does the organization feel the same way? Now, Andy Reid, all his coaches, all the players are saying the right things, and they're talking about the Bengals, and there's been no kind of, no planning of to LA. In fact, I even reached out, just for kind of future planning for us about, hey, parade day, what would that be? And even the PR department's not taking the bait on that. And that they have to already logistically be planning that just in case. So they're saying the right things. But that game, and how good the Bills were during the regular season, and the fact that the Bills beat them soundly versus a Bengals game that I think a lot of the fans look back and say, literally everything that had to go right for the Bengals did go right. The Chiefs made a number of mistakes, and they still were 1 4th down stop away from winning the game. Has the fans much more confident about this game than they were the game going into Buffalo.
But how about you? You're a little more, keep your head about you, a little more analytical, and you realize, listen, Burrow may not be Josh Allen yet, but their receivers are every bit as dangerous as Buffalo's, and they torched Kansas City less than a month ago. I mean, Soren, let's face it, over-under number of punts in this game, 3.5. I'll go under.
Wow, that's interesting. I will, it's hard because teams are now adopting the strategy of going for it on 4th down against the Chiefs, and they haven't been particularly good at stopping them. So what was traditionally a punting situation, teams don't punt. They don't want to put Patrick Mahomes back on the field. So to your point, punting opportunities, I'll take the over. Actual punts, you're probably right around it because I think the Chiefs' offense is hot. Patrick Mahomes is hot. They're healthy. Pretty much everyone's ready to go this weekend except for their right tackle, which they're not going to be without. They're going to be without him for the rest of the year because he tore his patella tendon, but they've got a good veteran in Andrew Wiley filling in. So the expectation is that the Chiefs will move up and down the field, and if you're going to beat them, you're going to have to get above 30 points to do it. I think the Bengals know it. They played that way. They went for it on 4th downs, and they iced the game with holding the football for 6 minutes at the end. I mean, the most that Andy Reid has been on the run in his post-week press conferences was after that Bengals game, where he really didn't have a good explanation for why they didn't let the Bengals score. Once you got to the point that you knew you were giving up points, why didn't he let the Bengals in? And he tried to dodge it. And you can tell when he's uncomfortable and when he's not secure about what it is he's saying. And that was that time. I mean, I think they know they made a mistake in how that was going. But I think the hard part for a coach, and you asked me for my opinion, and I'll say this from what I would think their view would be is, don't let it get to the point that they have the ball where they can ice the clock for 6 minutes. And I think that's where the Chiefs are frustrated. One, the defensive side, like you said, they were beaten in the secondary, although at times they had great coverage on Jamar Chase. He's just a great player. So's Joe Burrow, and they made great plays. I mean, there was one of the big completions to Jamar Chase in that game. Charvarius Ward was all over him, got his hand on the ball, and the ball literally just rolled over the top of his hand and into Jamar Chase's hands. I mean, you really couldn't have covered it any better. Just two great players made a great play. And I think the Chiefs feel like, listen, if they play that game back, all those things that went the Bengals' ways, things that were 50-50 or 55-45 type plays will not go exclusively their way, and they will come away with a win. And I tend to agree. I think, the Bengals, give them credit. They played a great game. They did what they needed to do. They still just barely won the football game, and it was at a time that the Chiefs had just assumed the number one position. And almost, when they were 3-4 and people were talking about them not making the playoffs, there was a goal to get back to the top, and that was the first game that they had gotten back on top, and I think they came a little flat, and again, almost won it. This game's back in Kansas City. I think there's a lot of reason to believe that, just the yin and yang of things will tilt a little bit differently, and the Chiefs will be more focused now that the carrot of the Super Bowl is right in front of them.
Burrow was sacked 9 times, and I think Tennessee's got a better defensive front than Kansas City, but there had to be something about that should make Kansas City salivate. And to me, the difference between games 1 and game 2 is they're going to have to get to Burrow. Burrow knows he has to score. I think at the end of the day, Burrow will throw an interception, an inadvertent pass, do something crazy that would benefit Kansas City. How do you see the Chiefs getting after Burrow in this game?
I do see it just like you do. I mean, I think he's been under duress for a long time and hasn't made a mistake, and the odds say that can't continue. Like I said, at times there were a couple of situations where the Chiefs could have come away with interceptions, and instead they ended up being catches for big plays, and it starts with the pressure. The Chiefs aren't as good at getting after the quarterback, and that is a weakness. Even with Chris Jones, who's very good, the rest of the supporting cast hasn't been there. And when Steve Spagnuolo has to dial up the blitz, he can be very effective at it, but if he has to do it every single time to get pressure, that's going to be a problem. I don't see that being the case against the Bengals. The Chiefs had 4 sacks and a lot of other pressures against Joe Burrow when they faced him, including 2 sacks on the first possession that gave the Chiefs a chance to get the lead. Remember, they led by 14 points on 3 occasions in that first game. So 14-0, 21-7, 28-14, and they just weren't able to finish the deal. And I think this time they'll be more aggressive. Andy Reid has been tremendous at getting a shot at a team the second time. And I think that's obviously what he designs on offense, but also what he designs with his coaching staff. I mean, I think he coaches his coach as well. And I think the Chiefs will have a better defensive game plan this time around. And I think it will involve getting Joe Burrow on the ground. Joe Burrow also tweaked his knee. I think people forget against the Chiefs at the end, he actually didn't kneel the ball down before they kicked the game-winning field goal. He came off limping, and I don't think he's 100%. I think there's probably some kind of, not major knee surgery, but some kind of surgery, or at least a lot of rest and rehab coming for that knee. And I don't think he's moving around as well as he did. So I think he's even more of a sitting duck for the Chiefs' defensive pass rush this time than he was the last time. And I think that'll be a big factor in this game. If the Chiefs don't get to him, they lose. I think Joe Burrow will go up and down the field. Zach Taylor will go for it on short 4th downs, keep possession of the ball, and keep Patrick Mahomes on the sidelines. If they get to Joe Burrow, I think they win. And to your point, I think the turnover is imminent with Joe Burrow, whether that's a sack fumble because he'll hold the ball and take the sack, or a pick. I think if that happens, if they turn the ball over, then the Chiefs win, and they win by double digits.
Chris Jones needs to step his game up. He's hit a wall here in the last couple of weeks. They need him to, be what he normally is. Soren Petro, Sports Radio 810 in Kansas City. Follow him on Twitter at Soren Petro. Can I go off the beaten path for a second here?
All things are in play. Let's do it.
What's the deal with Bieniemy? I mean, he, one interview during this whole cycle? I mean, I got to go back to the 90s. Mike Holmgren had an offensive coordinator named Sherman Lewis, even though he had Andy Reid and Gruden and Mariucci on that staff, and they all got opportunities. And Sherman Lewis could barely get an interview. And I mean, if I'm Bieniemy, there's a part of me, Soren, that's like, do I have to leave Kansas City? What's the deal?
Well, listen, I've asked that same question. Is that the right move for Eric Bieniemy, either to go the college route and take a college job, or to take an offensive coordinator job someplace else where he can call the plays? Look, it's a complicated answer, right? But in the briefest terms, I think there's no doubt that there is clearly a problem in getting African-American coaches hired in the NFL. Is it 1% or is it 40%? I mean, I think that's the debate. There's clearly an issue. It's harder to get get a head coaching job when you're an African American. That plays a role. I think there's no doubt in it. To what degree, I don't know. I'll also say this: there's a past, an off the field past of some problems that happened when he was at Colorado that seems to come up all the time. Is that an excuse? And really, it's C point A. And here's our excuse for point A is real, but we're going to bury our tracks by pointing out this situation that happened at Colorado. I don't know. That you'd have to ask each team, but it comes up every single time we talk about it. I think there's this aspect. I don't think he interviews well, right? I think, I talked to some people, Bob Glauber from the New York Newsday, I talk to all the time, and he said Tony Dungy interviewed time and time again, and the word was that the interviews didn't go well. And frankly, I think he's kind of uncomfortable to watch on NBC, so I can see where the interview he wouldn't have struck you as a dynamic leader of men. Turns out he just does it a different way than most people do, and he was a very successful coach. And when he finally got his chance, he was a winner. And I think that's kind of the feeling that what Eric Bieniemy is. I can tell you he was atrocious 3 or 4 years ago in front of us. And trust me, the media in Kansas City is not the horde that's in Philadelphia or New York. And he didn't fare well against us. He's gotten a lot better over the last few years. But I still don't think he's going to be the kind of guy that, let's be honest, is generally a 60-something-year-old man is going to look at it and go, yeah, that's the guy that I connect with. I think it's going to take somebody who suspends what they're looking for and realizes, well, what are players looking for? And players love Eric Bieniemy. They love playing for Eric Bieniemy. He has this system in place with Andy Reid, and I mean the overall team-building structure in place. He'll bring that to it, and the players will want to play for him. I think that's a compelling reason to hire him. And I think certainly he's on the offensive side of the ball, which I don't know why anybody would hire a defensive coach as a head coach right now. I thought it was laughable that Dan Quinn was being mentioned everywhere. You have to have all four of the teams still playing have offensive-minded coaches, and that's what Eric Bieniemy is. So I think there's a lot of reasons to hire him, but I think there are a couple of legitimate questions as to why you wouldn't hire him, and I think sometimes that gets buried in the narrative and is not spoken about enough. There are a couple of things that work against Eric Bieniemy that are legitimate and a reason to hire somebody else.
Soren, as always, appreciate your time and your insight. Hope things go well for you and your cause, and if so, safe travels to SoFi in a week and a half. All
right, sounds good. Look forward to talking here in a week or two.
Soren Petro, Sports Radio 810 in Kansas City. Follow Soren on Twitter at Soren Petro, S-O-R-E-N, Petro. I was just curious about, it is shocking. Nathaniel Hackett got a head coaching job before Eric Bieniemy.
Right.
Come on. 2 weeks ago, most of the football world didn't even know who Nathaniel Hackett was. Not saying he's not going to do a good job. I don't know anything about Nathaniel Hackett. Maybe a
he
great
could be
hire.
Great.
Right. But something's up with Eric Bieniemy. Come on, let's be real. He hardly got interviewed. We got 9 jobs open. I think he interviewed for 1. They're in their 4th straight conference championship game. He's the offensive coordinator. Andy Reid keeps saying, he's calling on a lot more of this stuff than you think. It ain't all me. Hey, I got my hands all over this organization. I'm busy. I'm delegating a decent amount to this guy.
Well, I thought Soren made a very good answer as to why, from what he understands. He knows him, not personally, but he's done interviews. He's said, hey man, when we first talked to him, he wasn't great at this. Now he's better, but if he's not a good interviewer, you know how much guys have gotten the job because of being a good interviewer.
Well, and that was the word on Dungy, because Dungy 25 years ago was like, how come Tony Dungy can't get a job? He's got Chuck Noll's seal of approval, and people are like, oh, well, he's a terrible interview. Well, apparently he was, and he fell into Tampa's lap.
And people want to hear probably a more of a Dan Campbell type approach, and I'm going to do it this way. And sounds like Bieniemy's more of the soft-spoken guy who players love. Not saying they don't love Dan Campbell, but it doesn't necessarily mean the interview has to be great for the coach to be great.
I disagree with Soren a little bit about the whole hiring a defensive head coach, because to me, a head coach is a leader of men. You can be offense, defense, special teams, etc. You could be a leader of men.
I can see why someone who's a little more soft-spoken could not get that because you're dealing with business tycoons who are used to big personalities.
Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening to the Florida Sports Network.
Of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
We've hit the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, still has huge cash prizes up for grabs.
This week, new customers can get on the game and play free for millions with their first deposit. There are only a few weeks of football left, so draft your squad now.
Playing daily fantasy football is simple. Just pick your lineup of NFL stars, staying under the salary cap, and score enough points to bring home cash.
And with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes, you'll feel the action of the divisional round like never before.
DraftKings, safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want.
Download the DraftKings app now and use the promo code M&M to play free for millions. That's right. Enter promo code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. Get in the action for the divisional round only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
With?
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Podcast host for SB Nation, Niners Nation, and what's on fire?
There we go.
All right. About a couple things about Bieniemy. First off, he's had an opportunity for Colorado, and he said no. So that's number one. Yeah. Don't bring up Stephen A. to me. I think Stephen A. is a tool. The whole Buckeyes might have won a couple more natties if Joe didn't go south. No, because remember, Urban picked Dwayne Haskins over Joe Burrow. That's why Joe went south. Now, they might have won a couple more natties if he didn't choose Dwayne Haskins over Joe Burrow, but
if Stephen A. is talking about the NBA, I'll listen because he knows the NBA. He doesn't know football. He doesn't.
Kirsten Bell, meniscus surgery, 6 to 8 weeks. She had the surgery with 6 to 8 weeks left in the regular and ASUN season. She's going to try to play. My guess is Debbie, when she comes back, she'll come off the bench because she won't be healthy enough to start. They'll need her if they're going to do anything in the tournament. I think they can get beat without her. I think they'll get an at-large, though. So there you have it.
And Sean, I would say that he was a pundit that's become an entertainer. I think he started taking himself too seriously. He does a radio show in Kansas City, Sonny. So that's how he's interviewed him. Yeah, you guys watch him a lot more than I do, because I haven't turned on the 4-letter network to watch them talk about anything in a long time. And he moves the needle as much as someone does talking on a television network.
Well, the bottom line is they chose him. Okay, they've made him the chosen one. So they wheel him out for everything, and he's expected to have an opinion on everything. And obviously, he doesn't know a lot.
But they probably, I mean, from what I understand, the information that they give you if you're an on-air talent on ESPN is incredible.
15 seconds. Rob is on hold. Ten seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour on this final Football Friday of January. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. We'll get to our picks once again in case you missed it earlier in the show. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when, all that sort of thing. But first, we're glad that Rob Stats Guerrera made time for us once again. He's an NFL podcast host, part of the SB Nation and Niners Nation podcast. Follow Rob on Twitter at Stats on Fire. That's Stats on Fire. That's a top 10 Twitter handle right there. Rob, it's David and Mark once again. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, we're doing pretty well. Be honest. Can you believe that the Niners are this deep in the playoffs? Did you think it would end before this week?
I did not think that they would be this deep in the playoffs, and I definitely didn't think that they'd be this deep in the playoffs after going to Lambeau Field and failing to score an offensive touchdown. But here we are. I'll take it.
And now they get a team that, well, they have their number. I mean, there are no two ways about it, Rob. They have got the Rams' number. They're in their head. But 3 times in a season's a son of a gun. Why can they do it 3 times this year, Rob?
Because I think the strength of the 49ers matches up perfectly with the weakness of the Rams. The Rams' defense has some talented players, but they are weak in the linebacking core, especially in the middle of the field. And that's where the 49ers love to attack. That's basically the only place Jimmy Garoppolo throws the ball. But it just so happens that's the best place to throw the ball against the Rams. So I think you're going to see a lot of George Kittle in this game over the middle of the field. You'll see a lot of passing with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think on the other side of the ball, the 49ers know how to pressure the Rams with just 4. When they played in Week 18, they pressured Matthew Stafford on almost 50% of his dropbacks. The Niners secondary is not good, but if they can get pressure without blitzing, they'll have enough people there to be able to cover the Rams.
Well, and Rob, they did it last week. They sacked Rodgers 5 times, and they keep getting better with every quarter. Like even in that Rams game, Week 18, they were down 17-0 for a quarter and a half. They were doing nothing. And then the final hour and a half of that game, they couldn't be blocked. I mean, it is remarkable what the Niners are able to do, rushing 4 more than just about any other team in the league.
This defense has been on another level, really, since the second half of that Rams game in Week 18. They've played 10 quarters in that time, and they've only given up 34 points. They are absolutely shutting people down, and it's really kind of covered up for the offense that has really struggled. They have 2 offensive touchdown drives in the entire playoffs, and one of those drives was one play. It was a handoff to Deebo Samuel for a 26-yard touchdown. So this offense has not really been great in the playoffs, but the defense has been so incredible that they've been able to skate by.
When you look back at last week, and obviously, as you said, no offensive touchdowns, and they just get out with the skin of their teeth. Is there anything from that you can just say was weather? Because Green Bay doesn't have a killer defense. Was this a matchup problem? Was this the injuries to Jimmy G? I mean, you can't expect the offense to be that pedestrian and play in SoFi again in 2 weeks.
Yes, I agree with you. You would think that they would be better. I think the Packers came out and they really dominated the line of scrimmage physically, which is something that does not happen to the 49ers very often. The Rams like to talk about how they're going to do it, but they never actually do. Well, the Packers did last week, and that's why the offense struggled. They could not run the ball. And some of the wide receivers, I don't know if it was the cold or what, but there were a couple of big drops early in that game that really hurt the 49ers offense, that really stopped them from sort of getting in a rhythm. But you would think playing in Levi's Stadium South in Los Angeles in 50-degree weather that they're going to be able to pick things up. I can't see Kyle Shanahan's offense struggling like this 3 weeks in a row.
You know, Rob, I was at that Week 18 game and told Mark, I said, I've never seen anywhere out in pro football. I've seen it in college where like a Georgia fan base will travel to Nashville and dominate the scene against a Vanderbilt, and Alabama's crowd will do the same. Never seen it in the NFL in a 70,000 seat stadium in which 3/4 of the place was the road team and the home team had to go to a silent count. And Rob, it's our understanding that the Rams, despite all their best efforts, are probably going to be playing a road game again, aren't they?
What a disaster by the Rams to try and expressly block 49ers fans from getting tickets to this game. All that did was inspire people to go out of their way to get tickets to this game. And I saw, according to Vivid Seats, they estimated that about 65% of the fans there are going to be 49ers fans. And that's not a small thing. You know, we talked to Joe Staley this week on Niners Nation, and he told us the Rams having to go to a silent count in their own stadium is a big deal. It slows down everything for the offense. It just makes everything more difficult. The offensive linemen can't get off the snap of the ball the same way they normally would. So, you know, it's like a fun thing that we talk about, but there are real effects during the game. And, yeah, I think the 49ers are going to have the home field advantage in SoFi Stadium.
So no truth to the rumors that LA was moving this game to Detroit, where there are more Rams fans in Michigan right now than there are in all of Los Angeles. This is incredible to me. I mean, this is absolutely incredible that when they're winning and they're that close. I mean, Rob, I know we're talking to you about the Niners, but aren't you miffed that I get that they came back and it's new and it's not a pro football town, but when you win in LA, that's supposed to matter. They're a game away from the Super Bowl. No one seems to care.
No, I mean, there's competition for your entertainment dollar in LA, like almost nowhere else in the world. And yeah, I mean, between having the two pro teams there, between not being in the market for so many years before the Chargers and Rams got there, I don't think that there's that same level of passion that there is in other places. And it's kind of a shame because, I mean, you can tell me, everything I've heard about that stadium is that it's absolutely incredible, that the facility is great. And so I don't know what else the Rams can do. They have a great team. They're a team full of stars. But I think it might just take more time for them to kind of build up the fan base, certainly like the 49ers and other teams have.
It is remarkable. It's probably the best stadium just in terms of sight lines, the video boards, the concourses, the food choices. If that's what you're there for, it's the best stadium in the NFL, and it should. I mean, you know, $3 to $5 billion really should get you the best stadium in any league. We're talking Niners with Rob Guerrera, SB Nation, Niners Nation podcast. Follow him on Twitter at Stats on Fire. Rob, what do the Niners do to keep Cooper Kupp under wraps far better than the whole rest of the league?
Well, the problem is I don't think the 49ers know the answer to that question, because when Cooper Kupp has played them this year, he has had no problem putting up monster numbers. When they played early in the year, he had 11 catches for 122 yards. And then when they played in Week 18, he had 7 catches for 118 yards. So
and on the one hand, it's kind of scary, like they don't have anyone to stop Cooper Kupp. But on the other hand, I look and say, well, even when Cooper Kupp has been great, the 49ers have still found a way to win. So I don't know that they're going to be able to slow him down. Nobody's been able to slow him down this year. I'm just hoping that it'll go like it went before and that the 49ers will be able to overcome it.
All right. How is the injury front for the Niners? I mean, are we gonna see Samuel in the backfield more? I saw that, Mohamed Sanu was taken off the IR. Just how injury front, anything new to report with where the Niners are at for this weekend?
Well, the biggest injury right now for the 49ers is probably Trent Williams, their left tackle. He's the best left tackle in the league. He's been dealing with an ankle sprain. He was really hobbled at the end of the Green Bay game, even though he only missed one snap. He hasn't been practicing all week. I don't know if he's going to be able to go. Now, the good news for San Francisco is that Trent Williams actually didn't play in that Week 18 game against the Rams, and they were still able to win. But he's a huge part of their offense, especially against the Rams defensive line that I think is going to be much better. Von Miller has done fantastic lately for them. So you would hope if you're a 49ers fan that Trent Williams can really go. But other than that, I mean, in terms of the guys that are out there, the 49ers are in decent shape injury-wise, which has not been the case with this team in recent years.
Rob, is there any doubt in your mind that Trey Lance is the quarterback next year, or do you think that this second half run here, I mean, people forget the Niners were 3-5, so do the quick math. They're 9-2 in their last 11, and they've beaten a lot of good teams during that 9-2 run. Do you think that this is changing what the best laid plans of mice and men were?
I hope not. I'll tell you that. I mean, again, we just talked about the 49ers offense struggling in the playoffs. Talanoa Hufanga, the guy that recovered the punt last week for the Packers and scored, he has more touchdowns in these playoffs than Jimmy Garoppolo because Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have any. He is along for the ride right now. And so the 49ers, if they were to change their plans, I think are absolutely crazy. Jimmy Garoppolo has shown you who he is throughout his entire time here in San Francisco. He's an injury waiting to happen, and more importantly, he's a turnover waiting to happen. They have seen that. I don't care if he throws for 15 touchdowns in the next 2 weeks. There is no way to me that number 10 should be on this roster next season.
He's Rob Stats Guerrera. He covers the Niners, SB Nation, hosts a podcast, Niners Nation podcast. Follow him on Twitter at Stats on Fire. Rob, thanks for agreeing to do this again. We really appreciate it. Safe travels.
Thank you. Anytime.
Rob Guerrera joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Now, it's funny, Rob said about Jimmy Garoppolo, and I quote, he is along for the ride. Mina Kimes said those exact same words a couple days ago on ESPN about it, and just people came out of the woodwork, including former 49ers quarterback Jeff Garcia.
Yeah, who's looking like a horse's ass right now.
Well, he's
looking like a dumb jock is what he's looking like. And what she said was even, I thought a little bit, it's the same gist of it, but what she said that I think all of us can relate to, she said it's the group project in which you get an A on it, and he did the least amount of work and still gets the A. I think that's a brilliant analogy, first of all, because this is something that Jeff's going to miss out on. When you're trying to describe sports to people that aren't in sports, you have to use real life scenarios. That's a scenario in which I think most everybody, man or woman or child, can go, yep, I've either been the guy that busted my ass on the group project, or I was the guy that was along for the ride. We get it. It's a terrific analogy. She's spot on.
I just found it remarkable. He used literally the exact phrase that many a person chastised her for.
Yeah.
And he covers the Niners for SB Nation and does a regular Niners podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nice to see that he agreed literally with everything that Mina Kimes said. That's all.
What she said was right.
Apparently so. Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day went, all coming up in about 25 minutes time. When we come back, we'll give you our picks on the conference championship game, some numbers behind the picks, all that coming up. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh, crap. There's a bus, it looks like, on it. Oh, wow. There were 4 vehicles on it. Did you see? I'm sure you did. Did you see this story a couple weeks ago in the Post about the dentist that apparently shot his wife over in Africa?
No.
Like big game hunter dude. Apparently, she was shot, and he said, it was it's an accidental thing. I mean, but he seems to me killed his wife on a hunting trip. No way that's Bridget Fonda.
Thank you.
No
I
way.
No, I don't believe it for a second. Don't see the facial resemblance at all. Because also there's when she was last on the red carpet, which was 8-9 years ago or what have you, and how she looked then versus no, I don't.
Wow, Letterman's going on late night.
Saw that for the 40th anniversary.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I wish he would shave. It looks horrible. This coming from me right now. Oh, come on. Compare. Oh, seriously? You're going to put this in the
I'd
same
rather
area
see
code?
the big.
Oh, my God. It looks like somebody has been stuck in the wilderness for years.
Just, it's an interesting point coming from
Oh,
you.
no. I literally was saying.
I know.
Okay, there's no doubt. But, I mean, my goodness.
Who's your favorite late night host?
David Letterman.
Followed by Carson.
Yes. And then we're done.
10 seconds. Yeah, they're just goated.
Of the three now, Kimmel.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
20 minutes past the hour. Final hour of the show for the week. Football Friday edition of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Can I throw some stuff out at you?
Bring it.
Unless you got some stuff to throw at me.
No, I just, congratulations, Louisiana. You guys can gamble today. We can't.
Sure. Please. It turns out we may be the last ones.
Well, this was such a royal screw up. Such a royal screw up that didn't have to happen.
No, it didn't. No, this should have been easy, actually.
Yeah, my ugly a few weeks ago was the governor. And hey, a lot that I like. This gambling thing, he screwed up. I'd say it to him if he was standing next to me. You screwed this up. And I don't for the life of me understand why. Because if his goal was to be in the White House, he didn't need the casino. He needed Vegas's money. It doesn't make any damn sense, David.
Well, and he chose the tribe over Disney also,
right.
which I don't
just
understand.
You know, if your goal is to be in the White House, I just thought he went with the wrong groups in this one.
And now I don't know if there's legalized sports betting in this state before 2024.
Well, that, from all accounts, the petition's not going to have enough signatures. It's not even close.
I think Tuesday's the deadline. So
I
it's
mean,
not going to be on the ballot in November of 22.
Right.
So then let's just assume he gets reelected. And then, so now we get into 2023. He's going to have to make it a priority and change. And he's not a guy who goes to plan B so far. We've yet to see him go to plan B on an issue.
No, it's, and look, I only say this because New York only had, billions going through in the first weekend. It's scary how much money the state of Florida could make if they pull this off.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah. I mean, look at New York and New Jersey's numbers and combine them is probably what you could do. And I'm not playing around. I mean, Florida's now the third most populous state. I mean, it's ahead of New York.
Right.
And all the people gambling in Jersey, by the way. And yeah, I mean, New Jersey's got a decent number of people that live in it, but a lot of that money was coming from New York and coming from Pennsylvania. All right. New Jersey on its own would not produce the numbers that it's producing. Wait to see what the numbers look like with now New York able to gamble. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing we wouldn't be able to afford in this state. Honestly, there's nothing we couldn't do. We'd have
want your water clean? Gambling. Want schools? Right. Gambling. Roads? Gambling.
You want to fix Lake Okeechobee? Honestly, name it what it is that concerns you. We'd be able to take care of it.
He screwed this one up. There's no two ways about it. You can think he's the best governor ever. I'm sorry. He screwed this up. We told you from the get-go. We've had plenty of legal experts on that have backed us on this. I now know more about the Indian Gaming Regulation Act than I ever intended to in my lifetime.
All right, some other numbers. Jimmy G against the Rams is 6-0. He's got a nice quarterback rating of 96, but he's 9 TDs, 7 interceptions.
Let me give you a number as well. Matthew Stafford has never lost an NFC Championship game.
Trailing, you have to give them this. Week 18, they trailed the whole way. They trailed 17-0, 17-3, 17-10. Then when they were tied, Stafford led the Rams on a late score, put them up 24-17. He had to go 90 yards in 90 seconds with no timeouts, and he did it to force overtime. Then he led a long drive for the game-winning field goal. But he's completed 75% of his passes in the 2 games against the Rams this year. And he had 5 completions of 25 yards or more in the Week 18 game. And remember, he did almost all of it when trailing. So, and his one-loss record's 37-15. I mean, it is a 71% winning percentage for a guy that apparently they, just can't get rid of soon enough, which is the 5th best winning percentage in the Super Bowl era for those that have started 50 or more games. All right, just 21-6 on the road lifetime, including the playoffs. I mean, some gaudy numbers. But the guy they really got to stop, Mark, is Debo. Scored 10 touchdowns in the last 10 games. In the 2 games against the Rams this year, he was targeted 11 times. All right, and he caught 9 passes for 192 yards and a touchdown. He rushed for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he threw a touchdown pass. So he's responsible for 4 touchdowns in 2 games against the Rams. And if you add up his total yards, 192 receiving, along with 81 rushing, that's 273 yards and 4 touchdowns in 2 games. Deebo Samuel against the Rams this year. Don't you have to look at Jalen Ramsey and go, we're paying you a lot of money and we gave up a lot to get you. All right. He is your mission in life right now. Follow him all over the field.
100%. My other question is, because you watched the comeback, you've seen both these teams play quite a few times in the last couple of years. And I know the Rams are a little bit different now with Stafford. But is there something fundamentally different that McVay should be doing for this game that he hasn't done? I mean, I know you can't change who you are, so to speak. But what makes Belichick the best coach there is that from week to week, there's no trend you can get on him. And obviously there are some sort of trends. There's something going on that San Francisco is able to do besides getting to the quarterback with 4. Go to the other side of the ball. For the Rams defensively, is there something they've not done? Is there something that they can fundamentally change about the way they play defense from a schematics? And I'm not saying change everything, but you know what I'm getting at here.
Well, it's funny you say that. They threw a defense out against Tampa last week that they don't normally go with. It basically was at times a 3-3-5. And it was pretty effective in stopping the run. And to me, Mark, if the Rams are going to change the narrative against the Niners, they have to get that running game slowed down. I don't think they can stop it, but they have to slow it down. They've got to make the quarterback throw eight more passes a game than he's throwing. 2 more passes a quarter.
Get him to 25 to 30 attempts, right?
Yes.
I mean, isn't that the number?
Get it in the upper 20s. It'd be awesome if you could get it to 30. But make it so that Kyle Shanahan actually has to look at his play chart and go, I got to throw the ball. That's number 1.
And it's first down defense, a lot of it too. You can slow them down just a touch on first down. You more 2nd and 9s, more 2nd and passing yardage. Now, San Francisco, one of the things that's about them, I mean, they had a big 3rd and 7 last week. You know what they did on it?
With Deebo Samuel.
They ran it.
Yeah. Remember the game that nearly put away the Cowboys game was a run on 3rd and 11.
Right.
Yeah. They run the ball more than anybody else, and they run it on long distance more than anyone else.
And they don't quit. 2nd quarter, 3rd quarter. It doesn't end.
Right. He kept running the ball down 17-3 at the half. They came out first drive of the second half and took 8 minutes off the clock, running the ball and scored a touchdown. It's who he is. It's what he believes in. Clearly, the Rams have to do a better job in run defense. They've got to make it so that Shanahan thinks he has to throw the ball.
You must really deep down love the 49ers.
I do, even though deep down I don't like them. All right, because the team I rooted for had many a battle with them during the height of my fandom. But, I love everything about them. They rush the passer, they play defense, and they run the football.
Right. I mean, they are run the damn ball, David.
Yes. I mean, I would love for the football team I root for to play exactly like they do.
I will say, everybody thinks they have to have a quarterback. In lieu of a quarterback, why more teams aren't trying to run from different ways. You remember, going back, what did Miami do when they caught everybody's surprise with Sperano? They ran the Wildcat.
But
I know it's kind of tricking them, but if you're bad, you need to be looking at what San Francisco does, because this quarterback, despite how good he could be, he's injured. He's a shell of himself, and there's still a game away from the Super Bowl.
It's the power that Debo has, though, that most wide receivers don't have. He's thick in the thighs. He's strong in the chest. He can also take the punishment, like against Dallas. He rushed the ball 10 times for 72 yards. This is not a couple of reverses. This is even more than remember when he was in Chicago? They ran him more in Atlanta. But remember when Cordarrelle Patterson was in Chicago and Nagy would run him 4 or 5 times a game? I mean, Shanahan said, no. He's going to have the second most carries on our team next to McKinnon.
Just want to tell Vrabel one thing really quickly. You do have A.J. Brown, and you probably could do some of this with Derrick Henry, and it might be pretty damn devastating to teams. Just a thought. Because when I think of another receiver that's like that, I think A.J. Brown, David.
Well, I wanted to reach out to Vrabel in the fourth quarter and go, I know Derrick Henry's the guy, but he's not the guy today. Foreman's better than him today. Run Foreman in the fourth quarter, please. Thank you.
And then after you get rid of Tannehill after the end of next year, we can start talking about some other things.
So there's the magic of Jimmy G against the Rams, and quite frankly, how Deebo Samuel's been a beast against the Rams. And it all started, the Niners turnaround started. The Rams could have buried this team. It is ironic that it's round 3, because the Niners turnaround started at 3-5 in an absolute must win at home against the Rams, when the Rams were on top of the world, and the Niners beat them. The Rams had a little bobble there, and the Niners are 9-2 in their last 11.
I'm making a critical mistake because I am taking 2 favorites and I'm laying the points in both games. I have been 9-1 in these playoffs against the number. 8-2 overall, 9-1 against the number. And I'm taking.
Say it, Salman. Say it slowly. Let that sink in for folks. You are what straight up?
9-1
against the number.
Right. 8-2 straight up.
Right. That's pretty good.
And I'm taking both favorites. I was on Kansas City right from the get-go. I was on Kansas City about halftime of the first, about the game against the Bills. Whoever was winning that game, I said it was going to be between 7 and 10. The fact that it's only at 7 is the reason I'm playing it. I'm stunned that this line didn't move a little bit.
I'm taking the Chiefs. I'm laying the points. I'm betting the over, which is 54.5. I think that it'll be at least 10 points higher. And I think the Chiefs win by 10.
And I have them winning by 8.
Yeah, I went 38-28.
Went 39-31 because I'm trying to pick goofy scores, because picking final scores for football games is about the dumbest thing for anybody in our position to do.
Yeah, but we nailed a couple last week right on the money, so we think we're hot.
Right.
Rams are a 3.5 point favorite. I'm taking the Niners to win. So obviously I'm taking them with the points. I'm also taking the under. The over-under is 46. The Niners have just played Dallas and Green Bay on the road and given up 27 total points.
I have a 27-17 final. I guess I'm under as well. I have the Rams winning by 10 in this one.
And I have the Niners 20-17. I want to see a Rams-Bengals Super Bowl, because it's the dichotomy of the Rams being an all-in franchise, in which I think more teams should be like this in more sports. Winning is hard. You get a moment, seize it. It's difficult to be consistently good for 10, 15, 20 consecutive years. They're called dynasties. The odds are you're not going to be one. A nice 5-6 year run, take it. Maximize it, regroup. And then you got the Bengals, who had the first overall pick in the draft in 2020. And here they are, a win away from the Super Bowl. I mean, come on. How could you not want the Bengals? Most of the teams in the league can relate to the Bengals more than they can relate to the Chiefs.
Also will mean no Jackson Mahomes for 2 weeks, which is a positive for everybody.
Got that right.
Is that Mahomes' brother?
Yeah.
Right. Apparently he's
On the annoying list, if we get a Rams-Chiefs Super Bowl, it'll be Stafford. It'll be Jackson Mahomes 1, Stafford's wife 2, Mahomes' fiance 3. Close.
The funny thing about Patrick Mahomes is that you can't knock him on anything. He's an amazing dude, except the fact that he has an annoying wife and an annoying brother.
There are people who were literally tweeting out yesterday, if Mahomes' fiance and Jackson Mahomes could hook up and he could get rid of both of them, the world would be a better place.
Wow.
Our poll question says, what matchup do you want to see in the Super Bowl? And you want to see right now, the most popular Super Bowl is Mrs. Stafford against the future Mrs. Mahomes. Rams and Chiefs, number 1. Rams, Bengals, David's Super Bowl is number 2. 49ers, Bengals, the rematch for the third time, is number 3. And apparently there are 3 of you, literally 3 of you out there that want to see 49ers and Chiefs.
Wow. A rematch of a Super Bowl just 2 years ago, which was pretty good.
And styles make a fight. That really has a lot of sexy to it.
Well, look, if the Super Bowl is Rams-Chiefs, and if the Super Bowl is Rams-Chiefs, and if it's anything like the last Rams-Chiefs game, I can't speak right now.
It'd be 55-52
Correct.
Rams on the Monday nighter between Mahomes and, believe it or not, Goff.
Jared Goff.
Yeah.
And Goff won it. Miller and Moulton, by the way, NBC rooting for that Super Bowl as well. It's probably the only one that's a ratings winner for them.
I think so too.
Is Chiefs Rams. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when, as we say goodbye on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, we've hit the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, still has huge cash prizes up for grabs.
This week, new customers can get on the game and play free for millions with their first deposit. There are only a few weeks of football left, so draft your squad now.
Playing daily fantasy football is simple. Just pick your lineup of NFL stars, staying under the salary cap, and score enough points to bring home cash.
And with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes, you'll feel the action of the divisional round like never before.
DraftKings, safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want.
Download the DraftKings app now and use the promo code M&M to play free for millions. That's right. Enter promo code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. Get in the action for the divisional round only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Couldn't even speak there. That was crazy. Let me try that one more time. If the Super Bowl is Rams-Chiefs, and it is anything like the last time the Rams and the Chiefs faced off, we are in for a very, very good matchup. There. Why couldn't I just say that on the air?
I would put that at less than 10%, and I'd probably put it at less than 3%.
Do you think if COVID never happened, these virtual, like, sending no one to the Olympics ordeal broadcasts would be a thing?
If what? Never.
COVID.
Oh, no. We'd be doing everything the same.
Why did COVID have to ruin
Although I
it?
do have that same guy did the summer games is doing the winter games. I may reach. I know because Westwood once said he couldn't talk to anybody last time to see if that's changed. Just because time-wise, he might be up in the middle of the night when we're on the air.
I'm sorry, I missed
The
that.
same guy that worked the summer games is working the winter games, guy that I know from Atlanta.
Oh, really?
He's in Beijing.
Wow.
So they traveled for Westwood 1.
So it's 12. What's it? 12?
12 for it. But it'd be ideal.
So
It could be perfect.
So it's between 8 and midnight his time.
Right.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I'm going to reach out and say, Mike,
before you go to bed.
I'd love to.
You know, David, it's funny that you mentioned that one of your favorite current late night hosts is Jimmy Kimmel, because I actually think that you kind of look like Jimmy Kimmel.
I've been told that we resembled each other a lot more about 15 years ago. He was heavier and I hadn't gone gray. All right. And we were only, I think, then about 10 years apart.
But you've gotten that before.
Yes. Bob Huggins
Yes.
in the last 10 years, Jimmy Kimmel before that.
Mm-hmm. The first time that I ever met you, I was like, holy shit, this guy looks like Jimmy Kimmel. It's the first thing I thought of.
I told you the one lady came to me and thought I looked like Ron DeSantis.
Right.
I thought that was
a little bit.
Brown hair, DeSantis is black.
Right.
No, but like, I don't know. It's like the structure.
The structure.
The mold.
facial structure.
Right. No, I got it.
I mean, if it's the case, I'll have the wife dress up as his wife and we'll go as DeSantis for Halloween.
Right.
Get someone to go as Trump and have a good old time.
There you go.
My buddy Bob in New Jersey just texted me and said, Kimmel's head's not as big. Bob, nobody's head is
Nobody's head is big.
Okay, come on. Watermelons aren't this big. Come on, Bob. You know that.
10 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"17 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Our poll question at that Mark Miller, at the David Moulton: which Super Bowl do you most want to see? Not which teams you think are going to win and be playing in Super Bowl 56. Which two teams do you most want to see in the game? Vote accordingly. Right now it is time for...
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul, to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
I'm going to fly through a lot of things, but there is one item that I want to spend a little bit of time on.
All right.
Northwestern University was chartered today, 171 years ago. The first college newspaper was 144 years ago today. Want to guess which college?
Harvard.
Yale.
All right. It was
Yale,
one or the other.
There you go. Yale Daily News. Construction began on the Eiffel Tower today, 135 years ago. Here's the story. Did you ever hear that the Packers were like out of the NFL for nearly 6 months? I hadn't heard it. J.E. Clare owned the Packers 100 years ago. It was on this day in 1922, he literally gave the franchise back to the NFL, and they were out of the league. they had illegally used college players, good college players from Notre Dame.
That NIL money.
And they used it because apparently they had to win a game against Minnesota to stay in the league. So they went and got...
Wait a minute, relegation?
And they came from behind late and won 7-6 to keep them in the APFA, which the next year would become the National Football League. Well, they got caught. All right, legend has it, Hallis of the Bears, obviously, caught them. And so it makes the front page of the paper in the town where the league is having their league meetings. So J.E. Clare throws himself at the mercy of the NFL and says, here, we cheated, we got caught. We've lost our franchise. Curly Lambeau, 6 months later. To be a franchise in the National Football League 100 years ago, do you know how much it cost? Your dues?
$250 a year.
50. $50 was dues to be an NFL team back 100 years ago. Curly Lambeau goes to the league meetings in the summer of 22 and says, hey, the J.E. Clare guy's gone. I'm running things here. Here's $50. Will you give us our team back? And they thought about it, and they went, yeah, okay, here you go. So the Packers were out of the league, done, kaput, for over 5 months, 100 years ago today. Roy Campanella's car wreck that paralyzed him took place on this date in 1958. The NFL on this day in 1960 announced that, you know what? We're going to have a team in Dallas called the Cowboys and a team in Minnesota called the Vikings. The Cowboys, you're going to play in 60. The Vikings, you're going to wait a year. You're going to start in 61. The Stones, Mark, on this day, 55 years ago, released Let's Spend the Night Together. O.J. Simpson, on this day in 1969, was the first overall pick of the NFL draft. That's right. The draft was taking place in late January. Wayne Gretzky, on this day in 1984, had his 51-game point streak snapped in a loss to the LA Kings. Mark, in those 51 games, he scored 153 points, literally averaging 3 points a game. Wow. 61 goals, 92 assists for $153 in those 51 games. 1985, We Are the World was recorded on this day by the group that called themselves USA for Africa.
My favorite part about that was I read this yesterday to you, and we didn't put it. Springsteen had just finished the first leg of his Born in the USA tour in Syracuse, New York. Jumps on a plane, flies to LA, rents a car, drives his rental car to the studio to do his part in We Are the World. That's so Springsteen.
And then resumes the tour.
Right.
Which, if it was in Syracuse, I'm guessing the nearby show was in either Rochester or Buffalo. Unfortunately, it was 36 years ago today that the Challenger disaster happened 73 seconds after takeoff at Cape Canaveral, of course, costing the lives of all 7 crew members. Super Bowl 24 was today in 1990. Niners 55, Broncos 10. That was the third of 3 Super Bowl losses for Elway and Dan Reeves together. By the way, Yvonne Lendl won his last major on that very same day in 1990. He beat Edberg for his 8th and final major in the Australian Open. Cowboys get revenge on the Steelers today in 96, winning Super Bowl 30, 27-17. Larry Brown, the cornerback, was the MVP. Ray Lewis and the Ravens won their first Super Bowl on this day in Tampa 21 years ago, 34-7 over the Giants. Serena beat Venus 5 years ago today to win her 7th Australian and 23rd major. And obviously, she hasn't won one since. And Federer won his 20th and likely final major on this day 4 years ago, beating Chilik in 5 sets. Bill White, former president of the National League, great baseball player, longtime Yankees announcer, is 88 today. Popovich is 73. Alan Alda is 86. Nick Price is 65. Dante Culpepper is 45. Rick Ross is 46, and J. Cole is 37. And that is Today Was the Day.
One small omission. Today in 1978, this band named Van Halen released their first single. It was a cover of The Kinks' You Really Got Me, that pissed the Kinks off to no end, particularly when a fan after a show walked up to Dave Davies, the guitarist for the Kinks, and said, "You guys do a really good cover of that Van Halen song."
I could see where that would bother him.
And the other little omission, I know you remember this episode. We go to 78 when the Doobie Brothers starred today in the first of a 2-part episode of What's Happening, teaching kids why bootlegging is bad. Rerun with the recorder in his pants.
Underrated show.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
You know, everybody has a problem with these burrowing owls, and moving them is not usually an option. But scientists have come up with some tricks to help make transplanted burrowing owls feel like home, and apparently scattering fake poop is the key, David.
Excuse me?
Scattering fake poop around the owls' grassland homes is the way to make the owls feel as if they're still at home when they've been moved, so we can build big, huge houses in the lots that they once stayed.
Keyword there is fake?
Yes.
Okay.
For the gritty streets of Fort Myers, where 5 were arrested yesterday, 5 out-of-staters and 4 juveniles were arrested after protesting in front of a Planned Parenthood on Commerce Drive. They came from Tennessee, Colorado, Michigan, Arkansas, and Texas to protest and all got arrested in Fort Myers. So thanks for contributing to our economy. Finally, the really ugly, we go to Hillsborough County, where the principal at an elementary school was arrested after replying online to an undercover detective posing as a teenager. Great job by the police to get this scumbag off the streets. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today, this last Friday of January, David, January the 28th,
Look at
2022.
Both Florida NBA teams are in action. Orlando hosting Detroit. Who would have barn burner that is? And the Heat playing host to the Clippers, who are having a pretty good road trip. Thank you very much. The ESPN double dip for you NBA fans out there is the Lakers in Charlotte at 7:30, and they're holding the Knicks and the Bucks till 10 Eastern, which is 9 Central on a Friday. Wow. Knicks are broken. I'd take my Milwaukee and lay the 8.5. Hockey. We got 5 games tonight. None of them involving the in-state teams. Detroit's in Pittsburgh. Colorado's in Chicago. And the Bruins are out west minus 300 against Arizona.
Let's get to what's really important, though. It's going to freeze tonight, everybody. I mean, you're going to have no idea what's going to hit you. You're going to wake up tomorrow morning and be working on cold because we're going to have a chilly weekend, David.
Chilly.
In fact, it's probably a good weekend to make chili and watch football.
Not a bad idea. It's supposed to be close to 70 for kickoff in Los Angeles for the canopy because it's not a dome. And my understanding is the fans do not have to wear masks for the NFC Championship game, but they do have to wear them for the Super Bowl. I'm not making this up. I'm just relaying what I've been told.
Well, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. You can vote in our poll question of what matchup you want to see. David is predicting a Niners-Chiefs.
Yeah, rematch of Super Bowl 54.
And I have a Rams-Chiefs. Rooting for the network to have the best game they can possibly have.
NBC likes your outcome a lot better. I do think it would be great. I mean, all those Niners fans would be like, hey, this is great. This is our 3rd game in this stadium this year. We know how to get tickets. We know where to stay. This is phenomenal.
I mean, it'll be back-to-back years. The teams played a home game in their own stadium, no matter who wins the NFC Championship this week.
That is very well played, Mark. That is very
If
well
I hear
played.
that again, I don't need any credit for it, but you can give that one to Joe.
You know what? I don't know if he'll use it, but I'll give it to him.
Depends how snarky he feels.
Well, I know how snarky he feels. It's just a matter of how snarky will he be.
There you go. There you have it. Safe travels this weekend. David, you'll be doing the show Monday from 3 to
7. Yeah, LA time, baby. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. The game starts at 3 o'clock on Sunday. Stay warm. Thanks so much for listening to Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th.